Day had some incredible circumstances go down. I got to give a shout out to Chris Hagan because my call to the bullpen was rather quick. I made that call to the bullpen, and Hagan dropped everything to come in here and entertain you guys yesterday until 5:30 or so, and I appreciate that more than you guys and he would know. Yeah, we had some weird life stuff that was going on yesterday that I'll get into because it's not all about me. A little bit about me, and I'll explain that to you coming up a little bit. I mean, just some craziness, right? I mean, if you think you've seen it all, clearly you have not seen it all. So we'll get to that coming up in a bit, too. Derek Schultz going to join me coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. I haven't talked to Derek in a while. Of course, Query and Schultz, they do a podcast and every Monday, I believe, that it drops. Actually, it's more than a podcast. It's a video podcast. So we'll talk to Derek coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. I believe Evan Sittery is going to join us, too. He covers for Forbes. He covers the Suns. He's originally from here and listens often. And I thought, you know what? He covers the Suns. I think he does Locked On Colts, too, which is interesting. We'll dive into a lot of things with Evan coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour as well. So we'll work into what's been going on, what I have missed, what you have missed, what we have missed together. Yeah, I was watching a little baseball last night. I mean, I'm feeling really good. I mean, Cubs fans feel terrible, losers of 11 straight, right? I was feeling really good last night, and then the Reds decided to go Reds on me. And listen, it's not like we're sideswiped or surprised by anything. Yet another reason why I solidly will tell you that most, if not all, Cincinnati fans, not just Reds fans, are schleprock. Because you just sit back and you wait for crap to happen. You sit back and you wait for a managerial decision. You wait for a bad bullpen call, which often, most of the time, is any bullpen call is a bad one. And then you wait for your third baseman to boot a routine ball. And there you go. And then you let one of the worst teams in baseball beat you in the bottom of the ninth inning. And, yeah, I mean, I know Cubs fans, you can't even be consoled right now because that team is an absolute mess. And I know the Reds fans, including me, were incredibly happy about a weekend sweep. But, you know, it doesn't wipe it clean, but that was pretty damn bad. So if you wonder why they're schleprock, that is why they are schleprock. And basically always will be. Maybe they weren't back in the late 70s. Well, before they decided to trade the entire Big Red Machine, get rid of the manager, you know that stuff. Before that, they weren't. And they weren't in 1990. But for the most part, there is a clear reason for the past 25 years as to why you definitely should be. And would be. But Cubs fans, I mean, that team just looks like it's absolutely out of gas right now. Had a great May, June, not so much. 11-game losing streak. And what's interesting is you've had in the Central, which is a pretty decent division, at least it has been, but it is incredibly up and down. Very Jekyll and Hyde division. Like, you kind of know what you got going out west, don't you? I mean, you got the Giants, who, by the way, have lost a couple in a row to the Cardinals. Figures. You got the Dodgers, who go out and they just spend money, and they're going to be the Dodgers. And you got the Padres, who are gifted in the personnel department as well. Because you know what you're going to get there. But, I mean, in the Central, it is like up and down. Ridiculous ride. You know, one week the Cardinals will be hot. The next week the Cubs would have been hot. And then the Reds or the Brewers, and yeah, up and down. I will say this. I mean, it's still gratifying to be able to have the team that you actively root for be interesting this time of year because, as we know, those that are fans of the Reds don't always have that. Few and far between. But it's games like last night that kind of brings you back down. Before you get all excited about it, you just know that a night like last night is coming. And it's coming hard after you. And that is unfortunate. So we can discuss that if you like. A little bit of baseball would be nice. As I mentioned, Derek Schultz joins us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, and Evan Sittery in the 5 o'clock hour. A lot of stuff, too. NBA game number 1 last night. You talk about solidifying. What happened to – there was a point in time when a lot of folks thought Chris Paul and described Chris Paul as a fraud. Said he's just about the talk, and when it comes down to it, he's not about the walk. And now everybody is on board with the Chris Paul thing. So what happens? You get in a spot where you and this team are put in position to win a title. And this is one of those things where it will solidify his career. Like Hall of Fame worthy already, no doubt. But this is a clincher for a lot of things. Really what it's doing, too, I mean, it rewrites a lot of history as to maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, how folks were feeling at that moment about Chris Paul. And now he is a savior for an incredibly talented young team. And game 1 certainly helped solidify that. We'll see if they can close the deal. It was funny watching yesterday. Giannis, and I was paying attention. I mean, he started out, he wasn't playing, and then doubtful, and then questionable. I mean, the man just kept climbing up, and that's all planned. They knew exactly how it was going to work out, and then he goes out there, and he's moving guys around out of the way. Basically being himself. I saw Saric suffered an ACL tear in game 1 last night, so not only is he done for the remainder of the series, but he's going to miss most of next year. But the Suns have been fun to watch. One of the guys that I really liked, and I liked him in the draft a couple of years ago, probably longer than that, is Cam Johnson. I always liked Cam Johnson. 6'8" guy, spread the floor, 3-point shooter. I mean, really does adapt well to how basically everybody in the NBA plays, how basketball is played now. I really do like it. Here's something else that I like, and they're not going to do it, and I wish they would, but I like the NBA season ending where it's ending right now and beginning where it did. Remember, this whole thing got started back Christmas Day. And I may be the only one, but I like it. I don't like the whole mid to late October start time. I like the fact that you start because we're so paying attention to other stuff at that time of year. I mean, that is the time of year where everything hits you over the head. I mean, you are waist deep in college football, waist deep in the NFL. You got the postseason, you got the World Series going on in baseball. I mean, everybody's kind of, especially if you love a hoop, you're kind of digging on the college basketball season's about ready to get underway. I, for one, and I could be alone on this, and they're not going to do it, but I dig when the NBA started this year. Obviously because of the bubble and because of the pandemic reasons, that's where they chose to start. But I like where they start, and I like where they're finishing because it gives you a little bit more this time of year. Now, they'd probably argue numbers-wise that, hey, in the midsummer, as we are right now, in and around Independence Day, that's going to take away from what could be a television viewing audience. And I'm sure, all these egghead nerds do this research, all the consultants out there, the consultants that try to tell us in what we do, what I've been doing for so many years here, what to do, and then they'll get a paycheck from it. Really they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, to be honest with you, but they're going to tell us exactly how it works. And I'm sure they'll crunch some numbers, and that's the explanation. And they'll define the explanation. But to me, you start that thing on Christmas and you have an end where it's ending right now because, all of a sudden you start on Christmas, and that is one of the moments of the NBA season that is more memorable, that's not involved in the postseason. I mean, Christmas Day, you sit down and more than likely, and now you're watching a lot of college hoop, but more than likely, you're watching NBA games. I love when it starts. I think it's so much better than starting mid to end of October. I wish there was a way they would keep it there. I'm sure they're not going to keep it there. I'm sure somebody, if not everybody, would complain about it. But I'll raise my hand. I love it. And I know that some of you are probably put off, certainly detached, disconnected, if you will, from the NBA right now. But it has still been enjoyable to watch. I've still been able to watch it. I've still paid attention, and it's going to be hoop. I mean, listen, deeply rooted, we all love basketball around here. I mean, we can be gruff and say, well, you know what, because it's on that network, I'm not watching it. Like with all this, what do they call it, a kerfluffle? That's a big word for me. So the latest kind of media-driven thing is what's going on with ESPN, right? And it's just funny when you see these, if you see it, let's say, for example, on Facebook, and it's got a place to comment. If you see it any place, somebody writes a story about it, and you are allowed viewer, reader, participant commentary, it basically 5 out of 10 are going to start with, well, ESPN, it still exists? Of course it does, because you're watching it. You just don't tell us you're watching it. You just try to, you're going to muscle up right now. You're going to muscle up in the comment box and say, oh, ESPN still exists. I stopped watching that years ago. No, you didn't. No, you don't. I know you better than you know yourself, and you're not. I mean, listen, you may be in and out, and believe me, everybody is. The same person, really years ago, I think it was Richard Petty, right? Was it Richard Petty that talked about a NASCAR race and said, you know what, I'm going to watch the start and I'm going to watch the finish? I mean, there are more ways to watch something now. I mean, we are so split in so many different directions right now. I don't blame you. I don't blame you if you disengage in the second quarter, or if you watch after halftime the first 5 or 6 minutes of the third and then wait for midway through and the finality of the fourth. Listen, I have no problem with that whatsoever, but you're still watching, still paying attention, because we love sports. I find that funny. And the whole thing, the back and forth, it's not even so much the story, which is ridiculous enough, right? But then that is 5 out of 10 times, hey, I just don't watch it anymore. I'm just not going to watch it. Yeah, well, I do. I don't watch it for that. Like, I'm not going to watch it to hear what everybody's going to be screaming about in the early morning or the midday, or watching what everybody is going to be screaming about in tape delay or when they run it back around noon. I don't care about that. That's the part I don't care about. Yeah, the sports, yeah. Like right now, I couldn't tell you. It's funny. You go back to 1985. 1985, when the finals were held, you had breakfast at Wimbledon, basically on the weekend in and around July 4th. And I knew everybody. It's a different place and a different time. I knew everybody. What was it, 84, the summer of 84, when we first were introduced to Boris Becker? And this is kind of, I know that you get Borg, and you get McEnroe and Connors and Everett and Navratilova. I mean, all those great names, and certainly we were watching then, but, I mean, to me, like July 4th weekend or Wimbledon when it ended used to be around July the 4th when it ended. Let's just say, for example, in the years past, it would be over by now. But it was always like Boris Becker, because he was 17 and then 18, and all of a sudden started winning titles. But we knew everybody. I mean, on both sides, men and women. I mean, everybody. And you had somebody that you would root for. Like, I used to check tennis box scores when they had those back then, and they did. Now you'd be lucky in a newspaper anywhere or wherever to get a box score from Wimbledon. But back then, you got box scores from wherever the tennis tournaments were being played around the world. I used to check in. Anybody remember this name? His name is Guy Forget, but where I'm from in southern Indiana, his name was Guy Forget. Guy Forget or Guy Forget. I used to look every single weekend to see where Guy Forget finished. Did he make it to a semifinal? Did he make it to a final? And while it's great to have it on, as it has been this afternoon, Federer earlier, it's not the same because you know about three. Like three dudes, that's about it. It is not the same. And I love the fact that you have some live action going on in the Euros right now. I think yesterday was great. Spain and Italy yesterday was fantastic. And I know that those that really love soccer probably don't dig too much on the way that ended on penalty kicks. But, man, I like it when it is country versus country. I like that. And yesterday was pretty fun. Denmark and England just underway right now in the other semifinal of the Euro. So, yeah, there's to me, there's room for the NBA postseason and the NBA finals right now. Like, even more room. You know, other than baseball and, you know, every 4 years, if you're paying attention to this or, you know, maybe if you just glanced at Wimbledon, there's plenty of room for it. Other than that, you're kind of sitting around and waiting on the All-Star game. But, you know, the All-Star games doesn't have the same feel as it once did. Plenty of room for it. So start this thing. Start it in Christmas and then end it right now. Got to be on board with me like that. Plenty of room for it. They're never going to do it. But should you think about it? I think, you know, beyond, you know, the injuries and these guys playing and they played too much or all that. Yeah, kick off the NBA season where they kicked it off this year and then end it where it ends. I think that fits in perfectly. But somebody that I'm sure is doing the analytics of it will tell you that, hey, there's just nobody paying attention like they normally would this time of year. To me, it fits in better. We can hit that if you like it, 239-1070. Email address is jmv@1070thefan.com. Show is on Twitter at jmv1070. And inside the lounge via YouTube Live, I'll jump in there with you guys coming up in just a minute. Quick shout to Hagan again. So here's what happened yesterday, right? First of all, I keep track every day of my mom. My mom's 75, lives by herself down in GC, 40 acres. And I every day I call, make sure everything's going okay. Because if I ever tried to, can you imagine what I would hear if I ever said, hey, maybe we'll get you a life alert bracelet? Kyle and I were talking about that earlier, and I said, I'm not going to be the one to ask that, all right? That's not going to be me. But I call every day, make sure everything's going okay. So Monday night, I'm calling. There's no ring. And shout out to Jim Rollins, who lives down in GC, who actually went over, and I guess what they would call that now is a wellness check. I just said, hey, can you go over and make sure my mom is good because she's not answering the phone? So shout out to Jim Rollins. And shout out to Smithville Telephone, or Smithville Fiber, I think is what it's called now, because her phone was whacked out, screwed up, wasn't working. So Jim Rollins actually saved me a trip down there because I was going, I'm going to go down there and see what's up. So, yeah, everything was okay there. And then you get to the afternoon, right? So I cleared that hurdle. Everything was okay. And my wife is in the kitchen. I'm out finishing up some yard work. My wife is in the kitchen, and she's making the kids some stuff. And, you know, you don't have these blenders nowadays. They're not like the old school ones, all right? Remember the old school blenders, like, you know, Whirlpool blender and, you know, crushed some ice, made some margaritas. But now, I mean, you're making everything. I mean, you're doing everything but cutting a bush or a tree in this thing. And believe me, these things have blades that would make like a late 70s slasher film blush. I mean, these got blades upon blades. I mean, that's going to be the next horror movie is going to have some dude trying to, with one of these Ginsu things. So she's making the kids a drink. And I shouldn't probably tell the story because I'll be sleeping outside tonight. But the cut and the dry, the cut, no pun intended, is she got something lodged, put her finger in there to try to dislodge it, and then leaned up against it and fired it up. Thus, remember the old joke? What's 90 mile green and 90 miles an hour, frog in the blender? That's kind of what I put on Facebook yesterday. And what's red and goes 90 miles an hour, it's my wife's finger in a blender. So we had to go to the ER. When you go to prompt care and they go, hey, I don't know. You know that it's not good. Not good. And shout out to Chris and the ER over at Community South who did the needle point. Outstanding work. And I am happy to report that the left nose picker, or index finger, if you will, is right there where it needs to be. So that's a good thing. But I thought, are you kidding me? I mean, you guys have seen those blenders, man. Those things are lethal. Like, even to wash off those blades, they're inside these blenders now, these ultra blenders that go faster. They're all souped up, and these things are like machete sharp. So, yeah, the moral of the story is you got to make sure that son of a gun is unplugged, right? You just do. Make sure it's unplugged. But, yeah, yesterday sucked, and it was a last-minute deal. I mean, right before I was getting ready to leave. So shout out to Hagen, who dropped everything and came in here and did the show yesterday. Because the one thing is, I mean, listen, we could re-rack some old stuff, but we'd had a long weekend, and you guys needed live content here. You always need live content. That's why we're here, live and local content. I mean, if we weren't that, you could get that anywhere else. And then between 10 and noon or whatever, have to digest every single conceivable angle of what the Jets are going to look like this year. And I know none of you give a fat crap about that around here. Not one. So shout out to Hagen for that. Came in, gave you a bunch of solid. I know some of it might have been on Mississippi State, and that's my bad. But solid local content with Hagen yesterday, and give him a shout or two on Twitter or wherever you might be able to connect with him via social media, because it was a completely last-minute deal. And I do appreciate that very much. So everything right now is back to normal, at least for the moment. We'll see if we can get through today and later on this evening. All right, quick break, and we shall return at 239-1070. Email address is jmv@1070thefan.com. I know a lot of you are asking me that the concert season is about ready to get underway. I think officially it's been underway over at the new, is it the Teachers Credit Union lawn at White River State Park Pavilion? It is a long-ass place, but it is awesome. I know that's already underway. But I believe you have Buffett coming up this weekend. When is the 10th? Is that next week? This weekend? Yeah, I think it's the 10th. I think Buffett kicks it off officially. So that's yet another sign that we're feeling good when we are, is when the Ruoff Home Mortgage Music Center opens back up again and you guys are up there checking out shows. And I believe that Buffett is the first one. If it's not the first one, it's pretty damn close to being the first one. So tip of the cap to everybody on that, too. All right, quick break, and we shall return. I want to get your thoughts on the NBA, thoughts on the calendar of the NBA, or whether or not you care. We can do that. We can get into some of that Olympics conversation as well. Hey, listen, you know where I am on the sticky icky. Like, to me, like, I want to hurry up and make it legal so we can grow it. I got a lot of property. It's just like waiting. No, but seriously, I get what we're talking about, but the thing of it is, when you have a rule, you have to abide by rules. I mean, maybe that it shouldn't be, maybe it's whatever your case might be, you have to abide by rules. I mean, I laugh about it all the time, too. I've laughed about marijuana for years. I mean, 4 years. I mean, it's not like I sit around like I'm Cheech and Chong and, spark up a fatty every day. But I'm telling you, as I get older, if I can find anything that doesn't screw up my stomach or mess up really anything else too much that would take away a little bit of pain, sure all of you would be on board with that as well. Fact remains, we're not Olympic athletes. Fact remains that we don't have those. We have rules right now, and I'm assuming most of us are abiding by those rules. At least we try. But, yeah, unfortunately, when you're on that main stage like that, you're going to get pinched, and you don't abide by those rules. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it sucks. Maybe one of these days it won't be like that, but one of these days is not today. So we can jump into that if you guys like as well. I don't want to get into the whole, well, it should be legal. I know where basically everybody stands right now. And again, it's not going to take Cheech and Chong or anybody else to explain to me where we are with that. One of these days it will be when I'm gone, right? We'll probably be the last state to do it. But that's just the thoughts on that when you guys are asking me that over and over on the weekend. And, I wish that the rules, rules sometimes, man, they'll grab you. I'm sure we don't always want to follow rules, but, with something that like that is at stake, it seems like you have some have-tos. And clearly that was a have-to. We can hit that. Reds fans, will give you a shout. Cubs fans, if you want to join me as well. And I'm assuming most of you have scurried away and will not want to join this conversation. And I do understand that. We can do that as well. We'll sneak in some NFL. Chris Ballard actually was on a podcast and basically said what Chris Ballard has said. There wasn't a lot that was different, right? That guy's going to join us tomorrow. Now, the guy that did the pod for The Athletic, Kyle, he is pro offensive line, correct? I don't know him very well, but he's pro offensive line.
He's a big offensive line connoisseur.
Big offensive line connoisseur. So when he joins us tomorrow, I will lob what I believe will become an age-old question asked often. Can you sink too much money into your line? And are the Colts on the brink of that? Seems like there'd be no better person to ask. He'll join us coming up tomorrow. All right. Evan Sittery, who covers the Suns for Forbes, Locked On Colts podcast host. Derek Schultz in the 4 o'clock hour. Just getting started on a Wednesday. And again, thank everybody for yesterday, for hanging with Hagan, and most importantly, Hagan, for dropping everything and joining us and giving you that local content that you want and deserve. I am very appreciative of that. 239-1070. Back with you next.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. It's the final week of Big O's Buy 3 Get 1 free sale, and don't forget to take advantage of Pay Nothing Today financing options. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
At Huntington, we've been asking ourselves, is it possible to lend money at zero interest? And it totally is. Introducing Standby Cash. When you need extra cash, you can qualify for between $100 and $1,000 at Huntington, and it's free when you auto pay us back across 3 months. Why would a bank do that? Just to look out for people. That's how we reinvent banking. Huntington, welcome. Without automatic payments, 12% APR. Eligibility requirements apply. Amount available is based on customer eligibility. Learn more at huntington.com/standbycash.
From the beginning, the Indiana Fever have always done things our way. From starting the first professional women's league in the state to raising the trophy as champions.
Beautiful. Is that not fun to watch?
We create our own path, inspiring the next generation in the process. Join us as we write the next chapter, because this is our way, unscripted.
Check out your Fever at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum before the Olympic break. Get your tickets at feverbasketball.com. Fever, New York Liberty, Friday at 7.
Health insurance companies are expected to carry health benefits, but CareSource does so much more. We look beyond doctors' offices and hospitals to see the challenges that face our members. Then we help them achieve not just better health, but better lives. Along with Healthy Indiana plan benefits, we help our members find stable jobs, housing, childcare, and rides so they can find greater independence. At CareSource, we're removing barriers, we're improving lives, we're reimagining health insurance.
Wouldn't you have loved to predict the Phoenix Suns into the NBA Finals this year? No one thought this would be the NBA Finals matchup back in November, but luckily for you, PropSwap is your place for tickets that have odds you simply are not finding right now with the NBA down to 2 teams. And this is why PropSwap is a must-stop for those in Indiana looking for a place to sell and buy sports props. I'm Kevin Bowen, and you guys know full well, not only does PropSwap have tickets available for your NBA Finals matchups, but they've got tickets for MVP of the Finals, too. July has Prop Swap filled with various baseball props, tons of British Open tickets as well. Basketball, baseball, or even golf. Buy a bet on Prop Swap, hold it for a few weeks, then sell it for a huge profit. If you're looking for better odds than what your sportsbook is offering, look no further. Prop Swap is your answer, and it's a way to win bigger at sports betting. There's never been a better time to join. New users get a free $100 match bonus for signing up, but that offer expires soon. So check out PropSwap.com or download the free PropSwap app today.
There's never been a better time to switch to Spectrum Mobile. You could save hundreds of dollars on your mobile bill. Plus, there are no added taxes, hidden fees, and no contracts. Try the Spectrum Mobile Savings Calculator today, and in 3 easy steps, you'll see how much you could save by switching. Visit spectrummobile.com/save. Spectrum Internet required. Savings may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit spectrummobile.com/save for details.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
When you call to have your home or business's heating and air serviced, what do you expect from them? A salesman in a colorful truck? Or do you expect a highly trained expert with your best intentions in mind? The answer is obvious. Call the company that treats you like family. My name's Molly, and I look forward to answering your call.
Family Heating and Air Conditioning is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
To some, it's a game of chance, but for you, it's a game of choice. Hollywood, Ameristar, and Barstool Sportsbook let you choose how you want to play. Bet on any game, anytime, anywhere. Download the Barstool Sportsbook app, register with promo code BarstoolIndiana, and get a 2-for-1 new player bonus with up to $1,000 bonus cash if you lose your first bet. Plus, at the Barstool Sportsbook at Hollywood or Ameristar, and get $50 in comps and $50 off room rates. Choose your game. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT or text INGAMB to 53342 for help.
Need new tires? Skip the long appointments and bad coffee. With Go Mobile Tires Indy, order tires online and have them installed at your home or office. GoMobileIndy.com. We come to you.
Turn to the experts at Howald Heating and Carrier for all your cooling needs. Howald Heating, Air, and Plumbing, where coming home never felt so good. Online at HowaldHeatingandAir.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Hey, you gonna stare all day or you gonna buy something? I'm gonna stare all day.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Derek Schultz, top of the hour. Evan Sinnery covers the Suns, does Locked On Colts coming up. Suns for Forbes, Locked On Colts. He does a podcast. He's going to hop on here coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. And so many of you have asked me about this. You know how much love I have and what I feel about Robin Miller. And I'm not going to go in depth. The thing that I'm going to do is, because so many of you have asked, I'm going to direct you to racer.com and something that they had sent out right before we started the show. Because a lot of you have asked, all right, I know you have R on often. Where is R's mailbag? He hasn't done it in the past couple of weeks. Well, this is courtesy of Racer.com. Dear readers, due to Robin's ongoing health challenges, his contributions to Racer.com, including the weekly mailbag, will remain on pause for the foreseeable future. Robin is an integral member of the Racer family, and while we'll miss his knowledge, stories, and insights as much as you will, the most important thing to us is that he gets the time he needs to direct his energy toward what really matters. Ever since Robin's illness became public knowledge a few years ago, there has been an immense outpouring of support from within the sport as well, from the many thousands of fans for whom his riding has been a core part of their IndyCar diet for decades. We and Robin are hugely appreciative and ask you to continue keeping him in your thoughts. And you know how I and we feel about R. So we are continuing our positive thoughts. But I thought, just because so many of you have asked, and I don't feel as if I'll only share it if he wants to, and then when this came out right before the start of the show, I thought that was a way to give you an answer, at least for the time being. And let's all continue to think positive thoughts, because it's our. This town has been our. And we're thinking about him. We are. And again, racer.com is where you can find that. So those of you that asked me specifically about his mailbag, that is what is going on right there. And all the best. All the best. All right, at JMV 1070 via Twitter. Yeah, last night, JMV, once they said Giannis was coming back, I was confident in the Suns because they had to throw the Bucks off a bit. Yeah, it was just funny how things just escalated, right, with his condition. And he looked pretty damn good last night. I mean, maybe not 100%, but, considering how you thought he was going to look. Yeah, Chris Paul was just incredible. Now, Chris Paul is just solidifying himself right now. If there was ever any question, and again, I mean, he went through a number of years where he became, I don't want to say the villain, but, most that cover the NBA, most that root, he became, somewhat of the opposition. It's kind of what Phil, and I guess to an extent, the reason why I bring this up is because of the match last night. Something that Phil Mickelson has gone through. You get half the public suggesting he's, an affable, great guy and, always pumping the crowd and loves this. And then you get the other half saying that's all phony. That is very similar to how most people had described Chris Paul until this point in time. And he's answering a lot of those questions as far as legacy is concerned, which all these shows have to, I guess, ultimately bring up. He, to this point in this offseason, with his year number one in Phoenix, he's solidifying that without question. There's no doubt. JMV at 1070, thefan.com. Are you sure your wife wasn't trying to cut off her wedding ring finger? Yeah. That could very well be the case. Yaney writes this, JMV, 2 words for you, brew crew. Our guys still haven't figured out how to hit yet this year, and yet the pitching has them killing it thus far. I would, listen, if I were you and Yaney, you know this, you're a baseball guy, I would much rather have the pitching be non-concerning than I would the hitting. At some point, the hitting is going to come correct, right, with guys that can hit. It's the pitching thing that you're going to need. And it kind of seems like within the Central Division, the pitching has been on, it has been off. I mean, this thing has been a roller coaster ride for nearly everybody, with the exception of the Pirates, who consistently suck. Good luck to your Reds for the rest of the way. Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, I mean, they are something to what. The only thing is, and I texted this to my friend Greg last night, who's also a Reds fan. I said, I don't normally use, like, exhausting, right? Like, watching something shouldn't be, I'm not exhausted from watching it. I'm not exhausting from listening to something. I'm not exhausted from reading something. There's nothing exhausting about it. I mean, that's an overused, lame term. But for the first time, I wanted, and I did use it last night because it was. I mean, getting to that point in a game has become, I can understand why it would be exhausting to you. I mean, I'm not running a mile or 2 or 3. I'm not out chopping wood. I'm not utilizing a chainsaw or working a jackhammer. I mean, it's not exhaustion when it comes to those terms, but you just get sick and tired of it. I mean, even in a season where so far, I'll take it. But you get greedy, and we should. Yeah, especially if you have been, or if you're a member of a long-suffering organization and or team, it's okay to get greedy. You should get greedy. And I'll argue that just as much as I'll argue the other side. You know, when somebody says, you know, if you're a Colts fan and you grew up and you really started watching it during the Polian, Manning, and Dungy era, I mean, it's a little bit greedy. You expect too much, and I'm quick to point out, no. That was a makeup era for basically what was 1984 up until that point. Those are a lot of years. That's a lot of time spent. Some of that time spent was wondering if the team was even going to be here. Some of that time spent was trying to sell tickets to make it a sellout. You know, on Capitol, right out in front of the old RCA Dome. Trying to beat that clock. The Thursday sellout deadline. So yeah, to me, that was like a make good. So there's, with good reason. I mean, you just became, that's when everybody around here grew. I mean, you really grew into an NFL fan. You grew into an NFL fan because you discovered the weight of expectations, both good and bad. But you expect this team to be good year in and year out, and frankly, you're at a point right now where this year better be damn good, and I'm in complete agreement with you. That's exactly how you should feel. I mean, we are all into, right? You got to hold everybody in the world accountable for something, so I'm assuming that somewhere on your sports list, this is going to be it. They're going to be held accountable to lofty expectations. You know, even with the question mark going in at the quarterback position. And the reason why I say that, not suggesting it's not going to work, but it is still going to be a question mark until you see it actually work again. That's fair to say. But with or without that, the expectations will be there. Those lofty expectations, and those that did not witness the years before Manning have no idea what I'm talking about. Those of you that did, like me, you know exactly what I'm saying. Like Bobby Jefferson, shout out to Bobby Jefferson, who's on vacation right now and listening to the show, by the way, too. People forget Colts tickets were buy one, get one free at Kroger just to avoid blackouts. Hey, back when Tom Zupanzik worked for the organization, they had, remember on Capitol, they had a drive-up or a drive-in. And that's what Tom would be lifting like tractors on his neck. And they'd have fire eaters down there. I mean, it'd be the entire scope of what you would describe as a circus. I mean, a legitimate circus. Fire eaters, fire walkers, tractor lifters. I mean, they had it all. It was like a circus to sell tickets. I mean, there are many that have no idea what everybody else around here went through up until that point in time. So that is so true. But again, now, when people always say, well, you just got to give time. We've given time. There's been enough time. Now we've got to start seeing the results. All this other window dressing stuff, which is legit and needs to be done, and you would like to have done with your organization, is great. But now it's results time. Yeah, the buy one, get one free. Pretty funny. Yeah, the Kroger buy one, get one free. The beat that blackout on a Thursday. What time would it be? Thursday at 5? Because I was just starting. I was with Mark back then, and I remember a bunch of times. And this was at the very beginning, too, of the Manning era. I shouldn't say a bunch because it probably wasn't a bunch, but it was more than one. I mean, prior to the Manning era, it was a bunch. And that's prior to when I got here. But back then, it was a bunch. JMV, do you think the Cubs' woes stem from their skipper, better known for being on Dancing with the Stars or being a baseball strategist? Who would you take right now as a manager? Would you take David Ross or David Bell? Which of the Davids would you take? Hey, baseball fans, which David would you take right now, Bell or Ross? That fair to say? Fair to ask? Hell yeah, anything's fair to ask. Plus, it's the summertime, so that's when you're going to get around to asking questions that would normally be incredibly asinine. Which David, Bell or Ross? Which David would you take, Bell or Ross?
Man, you probably take David Bell.
I bet most would take Ross. I bet Reds fans would take Ross, Cubs fans would take Bell.
Oh, yeah, they'd want to switch.
I don't know if Cubs fans – because Cubs fans would feel that taking a Reds manager would be beneath them. Don't they feel like that now?
A lot of Cubs fans are going to give him the benefit of doubt because of 2016. He's still running on that wave for a lot of fans.
If you're taking something from the Reds, I don't know about that. That's a good David and David. Welcome to the Boomtown question right there. Hey, quick one. We'll return with you on the other side. Derek Schultz is going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. And Evan Sittery, he writes for the Suns regarding Forbes, and he's got Locked On Colts podcast. And I would guarantee you he is young enough not to have gone through what Bobby Jefferson and I just talked about as Colts fans for years. I'm telling you what, there is a generation gap. It's just, let's say, a gap in a lack of understanding. Now, for those of us that are a little bit older, a little bit more salty when it comes to that, it will make more sense to you. I'm telling you what, if you live through it, maybe that's one of those things where you just had to live through it. Because it wasn't like it was, it just didn't live up to expectations, right? Or it wasn't like last year, well, you won 11 games, but your quarterback got injured. It was just constant crap. Everything you did was wrong. I mean, it was really like the Costanza thing. It was the opposite. They should have been doing the opposite. Jim should have been doing the opposite back then. And now you're riding those expectations, which for those of us that are a little bit older, certainly understand. All right, Derek Schultz, top of the hour. Evan Sittery in the 5 o'clock hour. This is 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Play the Capital Golf Charity Amateur Tour July 10th at Bear Slide for $70. Support great causes like Wounded Warrior Project and V Foundation. CapitalGolf.net.
Summer is here, so kids, tell your parents about the Forum Credit Union's Sprout of the Month contest, where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
Summer happens at Speedway, because everything you need for summer happens at Speedway. Like drinks. Drinks happen. The freshly brewed drink, the splashed over ice drink, the wake you up drink, the cool you off drink, the make your brain hurt for a minute drink. All poured however you want them, whenever you want them, all summer long. So on every hot day, you have something cold to sip. Speedway, summer happens here. And now, get any size fountain or Speedy Freeze for just 89 cents. Excludes maximum.
Hey, JMV here. I got a swell idea for you. Shout out to Eric Wilson, who runs everything that goes on at Indiana's Best. That's Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers, and you're going to see construction. And normally, construction is a tremendous turnoff, but do not let that get in your way because, A, it is easy to get through. It is not a problem at all. You will not lose any time. And B, you will find the best deals of all time and the best service of all time at one place. That's Andy Moore Buick GMC in Fishers. Like this, 0%, 72 months right now on most GMCs and Buick models. They have over 400 vehicles to choose from. And you know what? Some tell you that can be an issue, but not at the best. Not with Eric Wilson and Indiana's Best. Andy Moore Buick GMC. Tell him I sent you. 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a no-charge appraisal? It's never asking for a credit card or charging for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan.
No risk on refinancing, but I live for danger.
With our rates at a low 2.25%, refinancing with Golden Oak is anything but risky business. Get started today at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.195% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Every play is a play to bet on. Whether it's who scores next, a three-pointer, or a free throw, it could be the play that matters to you. So bet live at Unibet Sportsbook. Live betting options for every moment of the game. Sign up now to get $500 risk-free. Download the app or visit in.unibet.com. Unibet Sportsbook. Crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in Indiana. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
You need a work schedule that fits your life, and Amazon has shifts that help make the best use of your time. Whether you're a night owl, early bird, weekend warrior, or somewhere in between, discover the benefits of thinking outside the 9 to 5. You decide whether to seize the day or the night so you can get back to what matters most. Go to amazon.com/shifts to learn more. That's amazon.com/SHIFTS. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, JMV, for the absolute best, it's Lance and his local team at L.D. Smith Plumbing. Hey, this time of year, especially when you get those splash and dashers that are kind of hitting us to, I guess, the northwest as of right now, you get a lot of heavy rainfall in a matter of less than an hour, right? So you got to make sure your sump pump's doing its job. That's why you got the absolute best. And Lance and his team at LD Smith Plumbing, 317-284-9526. Believe me, I know of emergencies when it comes to plumbing before. I had one. Now, this was cold weather. This wasn't frozen pipes. It was just my water wasn't working. It was the coldest morning of the year on a Sunday morning, and Lance and his local team got out there and fixed everything on that Sunday morning. I'm telling you, that's when you know you got the best, when they can fix you up under conditions and in a time frame like that. So go with the best. Go with the local Lance and his team at LD Smith Plumbing. 317-284-9526. Again, 317-284-9526. It's Lance and LD Smith Plumbing online. LDSmithPlumbing.com today.
The housing market is on fire. If you're even considering buying a home, let's talk. TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Hope you made money today. Join me tomorrow, and we're going to talk to Seth Greenberg. We're also going to break down Colts opponents and who should be better, Bengals, Bears, or Colts. Join me tomorrow.
The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
At JMV 1070 on Twitter, Inside the Lounge via YouTube Live. Yeah, I got this. You got this old school B105 shirt. This is this like, it's like purple and pink mix. What color is this? Fuchsia? What I got on?
Magenta.
Magenta. I think magenta looks good on me right here. Now look, I've been outside. I catch a little ray. I catch some rays this weekend, didn't I? You think? Yeah. Not looking bad at all. You guys down with it? Starting the NBA on Christmas and having it go until this point in the summertime again. I like it a lot. JMV, welcome to 2021. Don't you dare smoke the devil's lettuce. One of these days it'll be legal. It's just not today. Just not today. One of these days somebody's going to wreck, especially when people go, look at all this revenue we're missing out on. That's going to be it. JMV, what did your wife do yesterday as far as, my wife nearly severed her index finger, left hand in a blender. But it is there. Which is outstanding. Shout out to Chris in the ER. I see that's what worried me is when the prompt care person went, you better go to the ER. I went, oh man. I kept referring back to that Seinfeld episode where Toby that went running out into the street after Jerry turned the tables on her and heckled her in her working environment, and she got ran over by a street sweeper, and it severed her pinky toe. Kramer put it in a Cracker Jack box full of ice cubes and saved it. That's what I was thinking of at the time. I'm thinking, okay, do I need some ice? What's happening here? But it is right there. Evan McDowell says, what doc saw your wife? He was the ER doc, and he's got a really long last name that begins with an H, and I looked at it yesterday, and I go, there's no way in hell you're going to remember it. You need to write that down. And I sit here right now before you not being able to remember it. His first name is Chris. His last name starts with an H, and he was really good, very smart, which is what you're looking for when he is doing needlepoint on your wife's index finger. But I sat there yesterday, and I go, damn it, I'm not going to remember this. Write it down, and here I am. Hey, JMV, I caught the end of the show on Friday, too. Are you still advocating the Pacers take a swing at Ben Simmons? I am. I am still advocating that. I mean, obviously, you got to look at the deal, but yes, I am. And you know what? I think I found myself on somewhat of an island, but to me, he still has an opportunity to live up to expectations. And I did the comparison to that of Carson Wentz, who looked like he got flushed down the toilet in Philly a year ago, needed a change of scenery, environment, everything, which I think clearly Ben Simmons needs. So if you're hoping and you're believing, most importantly, that Carson Wentz is going to work out here, then why not get one of those so-called described, defined elite-level players in the NBA to feel more comfortable and to live up to those expectations here? Yeah, other than that, I don't know if anybody's going to hold their breath on finding in the draft or finding someplace that future superstar that's going to stay around for longer than 5 minutes. That is just a thought, but yes, I am. I am cool with marijuana, and I am cool with Ben Simmons. That's me. That's my two huge stance right now. And I can be cool with it without like being Cheech or Chong, which sounds like fun, but I'm not. All right, Derek Schultz on the other side. We'll talk to him. Evan Sittery, who does a couple of different things. One's the Locked On Colts podcast. The other, he is a beat reporter for the Suns for Forbes. We'll talk about that and more with Evan in the 5 o'clock hour. This is 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
The VA loan is truly one of the best benefits of being in the military. Apply online today at HeroLoan.com.
NMLS number 1326-241.
From the first pitch to the last out, BetRivers Sportsbook has all the bases covered. BetRivers has a massive number of baseball betting options on each game, including pre-game player props and live in-game betting every inning. Sign up now and get a free play match of 100% on your first deposit up to $250. Bet with a winner. Bet with BetRivers Sportsbook. Must be 21 or over to play. Playable only in Indiana. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey, it's JMV for my friends at Connecticut Water. That's Joe, John, and Dennis. And we notoriously around here, the state of Indiana has hard water like you would not believe. And I can raise my hand. I mean, not only do I have to deal with the hard water that's the state of Indiana in general, but my water comes from a well. Seriously. So how do you transform that into the best water? You utilize the best, and that is Connecticut. And right now, you can take an additional $200 off your new equipment purchase when you mention the JMV discount. So go in there with Joe, John, and Dennis and say, hey, give me the JMV discount, and whatever you're doing, they're going to give you $200 off. So if you don't have Connecticut, get to working on getting the best water in your home. That's Connecticut. 2 locations. Northeast side Castleton, south side US 31 and Southport Road. The Connecticut Water app, download that for discounts and more to your smartphone or device or online, ConnecticutND.com.
Hey, it's Rob Belushi from Bill Estes Ford in Brownsburg, and our summer sale is on fire.
Why so sweaty, Rob?
Because we're coming in hot, Brian, with $9,000 off 2020 EcoSports.
Whoa, slow down, Hot Rob.
No can do. We're coming in hot with $5,000 off new Escapes.
$9,000 off 2020 EcoSports and $5,000 off new Escapes? That's too hot, Rob.
Oh, this fire is downright dangerous, and I'm just getting warmed up. We just melted our prices on 230 nearly new cars, trucks, and SUVs.
With 40 of them coming in hot, under $15,000.
Yes, Brian, feel the heat. 40 new-to-you vehicles just reduced to under $15,000. We have 99% approval, so credit issues won't extinguish this fire. Then we feed the flames when we give you $2,000 more for your trade.
Yeah, let it burn.
Brian, drop those matches. It's a metaphor.
My bad.
Come in before we burn through our inventory at these too hot-to-touch prices. $9,000 off 2020 EcoSports, $5,000 off Escapes, and $2,000 more for your trade. Your key is waiting at Bill Estes Ford in Brownsburg.
Hey, it's JMV in July, Big Red Liquors. It's cold beer, hot prices, and even hotter prizes all month long. Are you ready for this? What a great idea, because you know my love for both Big Red Liquors and all of their Central Indiana locations and Big Green Egg. In fact, Big Red Liquors, they're giving away 3 Big Green Eggs. You can stop by any Big Red Liquors location to enter to win, and it's absolutely free. You got to be 21 to enter. No purchase necessary. Online, bigredliquors.com. There's going to be a new Big Green Egg giveaway. Actually, there's going to be a new Big Red Liquors giveaway each and every month. In July, it's the Big Green Egg. It's Big Red Liquors, the absolute best. 58 Central Indiana locations to serve you and your chance to win the finest, the Big Green Egg. Log on and sign up today, bigredliquors.com.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a no-charge appraisal? It's never asking for a credit card or charging for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan.
No risk on refinancing, but I live for danger.
With our rates at a low 2.25%, refinancing with Golden Oak is anything but risky business. Get started today at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.195% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Got Medicaid? Got Medicare? Get more benefits. A dual special needs plan from United Healthcare gives you dental coverage, credits to buy over-the-counter products, routine vision care, and much more. If you have Medicaid and Medicare, there's more for you. Call 1-855-556-7598. That's 1-855-556-7598. Benefits and features vary by plan and area. Limitations and exclusions apply.
To some, it's a game of chance, but for you, it's a game of choice. Hollywood, Ameristar, and Barstool Sportsbook let you choose how you want to play. Bet on any game, anytime, anywhere. Download the Barstool Sportsbook app, register with promo code BarstoolIndiana, and get a 2-for-1 new player bonus with up to $1,000 bonus cash if you lose your first bet. Plus, at the Barstool Sportsbook at Hollywood or Ameristar, and get $50 in comps and $50 off room rates. Choose your game. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT or text INGAMB to 53342 for help.
Do you need air conditioning service and need to find a local well-trained expert you could trust like Bassett Services Heating and Air Conditioning? Find that American Standard air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. It's the final week of Big O's Buy 3 Get 1 free sale, and don't forget to take advantage of Pay Nothing Today financing options. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC, HD2, W298BB, WIBC, HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Baseball's best gather in Denver for the annual All-Star Game. Tuesday night at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Whenever we need a brilliant insight, he's available at the drop of a hat.
Hey, Mom! I'm done with my segment!
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Evan Sidery, who writes for Forbes, covers the Suns. He's a dude that's local, too, does Locked On Colts in that podcast. He's going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour. Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline, the ISC Network, and a podcast with Jake Query that's available each and every week as a part of the ISC Network. He is our friend from Midtown, Derek Schultz, who joins us now. Derek, how's it going?
It's going, man. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate the intro and the music. And
I thought you would probably dig on the whole Hanson intro right there.
Yeah, little rock in the afternoon, middle of the week like that is a good pick-me-up, I think, for people.
I played that B on Saturday. They were doing I don't normally do a part of it. I just got to do my own thing, but they were doing Red, White, and Boy Band Weekend, and somebody actually requested that. So I rolled that on Saturday night, too.
Man, I hate them. They get lumped in with boy bands, and it's always bothered me. It's kind of like remember when Gordon Hayward got drafted and people were like, oh, yeah, he reminds me of J.J. Redick. I'm like, he's nothing like him. You're just comparing him because they're both white dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Hanson's just way more of a rock band than Backstreet Boys or NSYNC or any of that other trash.
They do want to just compare white dude to white dude, don't they? It's
yeah. It's a weird thing.
Yeah. It's whatever. Hey, I just thought of this. And somebody had brought it up. I brought this up last week, and actually you go way back, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Once Philadelphia got ousted and Ben Simmons looked the way that Ben Simmons did, I'll be honest with you, I was happy to see, and I don't know if there's any truth to it whatsoever, but I was happy to see that right or wrong, true or false, that report about the Pacers having interest in Ben Simmons, because I'd do it. I mean, listen, I would do it. I wouldn't trade everybody for him, Derek, but I would certainly give some interest in trying to reboot a career that seemingly is going to fizzle in Philly, much like the football team's doing with the former Philly quarterback. I'd be all for it.
Yeah, he fits an obvious need for the Pacers, and that's they had no perimeter defense at all this year, right? And he's an elite level defender when it comes to that. The problem that I have is I'm real squeamish about paying non-star star money. Ben Simmons is a really good player. I don't think that he's a superstar. And if you're going to pay somebody $35 to $40 million, then they've got to be a superstar. And his shooting ability, unless there's some drastic turnaround that none of us can see coming, to me, he just kind of is who he is in that department. And, you can defend as well as you want. And he can facilitate a little bit too. Like Ben Simmons is a really good basketball player, but if you're going to shoot 2 of 6 or something like that in the fourth quarter of a 7-game series cumulatively, that's not going to cut it for $35 million for me.
Could you argue, and the reason why I bring this up in Derek Schultz on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline is because this was the gist of the report last week. And again, who knows if it's right or if it's wrong, if it's agent-driven, if it's team-driven, whatever. If it's just completely made up. But it was Brogdon and a first-rounder, assuming it was 13 overall, coming up this year for that. I mean, you look at it that way, I'd do that. You know what I mean? And I know that there have to be more, and I'm sure that it doesn't match trade guidelines, whatever. But if I take that report and look at it the way that it is, I would do that. And not because I'm anti-Brogdon, because I'm not like everybody else. I'm not completely anti-Brogdon. But it seems like that they have enough in other categories to be able to score. They need a point guard, and he is a point guard. He is a different point guard, and he is a defensive difference maker on the perimeter, which they're a mess at. So I would look at it from that angle as well, what you would be giving up. And at least the gist of that report, I didn't mind it.
Look, I hear you, and it's a sound argument, and he fits a need for the Pacers for sure. And I'm kind of like you. I'm not anti-Brogdon. I'm not anti-Turner. I'm not anti-Sabonis. I'm not anti-Warren or anti-LeVert. I am anti-bringing back this whole group together and expecting them to be like a contender because I don't see it. I don't think that this group is good enough. I think their ceiling is probably winning a first-round series, which, hell, would be better than they've been for the past 7 years. But I'm all for kind of changing it up. And I do think it's interesting. I think this, if I'm not mistaken, this report kind of came out of Philly, and some of the Pacers people shot it down. I think for the most part here in Indianapolis, the teams are pretty honest with us. But I think sometimes you can read sort of between the lines. Like with the Colts and Jacoby Brissett, they were saying all the right things, but it was pretty obvious that they were looking to move on from Jacoby Brissett. And I think the Pacers are not only listening – I don't know this. Nobody told me this. I would bet that the Pacers are not only listening to phone calls, I bet that they are actively looking around to see what's out there for their guys. Like, is there a chance they could run this whole thing back? Sure, I guess there is. I don't think they're going to make a deal just to make a deal. I don't think Pritchard works that way. But I do think that deep down they know that this team, even fully healthy, has a pretty clearly defined ceiling. And because they lack a get-out-of-my-way guy, I think they're going to look to try to improve the core of this group here moving forward.
Yeah, it's Derek Schultz with us. I don't think you fully digest, the believability of a lot of what is said right now. And that can work both ways. I mean, that can work with the report that you get or with what Rick Carlisle was talking to me about last week, was how much he loves this team. I mean, you're going to try to, at best, say the right thing, which would lead me to this, because you mentioned, not running it back, because if you do, we kind of seen, the ceiling on it. We've been there and done that. But it's funny because there are a lot of Pacer fans, Derek. I don't know if you've noticed this or not. I'm sure you probably have, that have kind of changed their opinion from where they were with this team and playing basically it all straight up as it was a year ago and has been for the past couple of years. Now that you have Rick Carlisle versus what you thought in running that back if you got a Terry Stotts or a Brian Shaw or somebody different, there's a lot, I think, from a standpoint of the Pacer fan that are put on the shoulders of believing that Rick Carlisle can be a difference maker with a group that still, right or wrong, we have not seen altogether healthy just yet.
Yeah, and there's something to that. I think Carlisle is clearly going to be an upgrade over Nate Bjorkgren, who was kind of in over his head, and that was just, admittedly a swing and a miss for the Pacers. They took a chance and it didn't work out. Sometimes you stick your neck out and your head gets chopped off, and that's kind of what happened with that whole thing. But at the end of the day, it's a players' league, and Carlisle can only cook with the ingredients that he's given. So, I do wonder with his – I'm not going to pretend to be some expert on his tenure in Dallas, but given what I've sort of gathered from his philosophy on playing bigs, notably what he tried to do with Porzingis, I do wonder if Sabonis is truly going to be a fit for them kind of moving forward. But I've always felt like the Sabonis-Turner thing is going to depend on what kind of value they could get, from either of those guys if they're going to be traded. I think if they're blown away by a trade option, then they'll take it, but I don't think they'll blow it up just to blow it up.
Are you what's happening back there right now?
Sorry, I've got.
No, it's okay. It doesn't bother me. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my 4.5-year-old with me, and he is hell bent on. We got this ping pong set, but instead of actually playing ping pong, he just wants to throw the balls at Daddy's head, and then I have them comically kind of knock off my forehead, and then he laughs. So that's what he wants me to do right now.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's funny, too, and Derek Schultz joins us. I think, and because maybe it's my particular angle on how I know that most people feel about Miles, and certainly I'm not in that category as others do, fans do around here. And knowing that they were close to trading him before the start of the season a year ago, I find it really, really hard to believe that they have any intention whatsoever in dealing Sabonis. Because I think, I'm not suggesting you let the fans decide this, but it is easy to trade Miles because fans will probably rejoice, I think wrongly so, but will rejoice nonetheless, if they trade Sabonis, I think you'll have a revolt on your hands around here. I do. I think it's much more difficult sizing that up and trading him than it would be Miles, and that's why I still think they end up going that direction at some point.
Yeah, I still think Miles is a victim of what happened with Paul George's exit, where suddenly he became the guy overnight, and he wasn't ready to be the guy and probably would never be the guy for an NBA franchise. So I feel for him in a way. I think the fans put some unfair expectations on his shoulders, and when he didn't immediately meet those, they voiced that frustration. Whereas Sabonis came in with Oladipo, and it was, oh, my God, like, this is completely unexpected. Look at what happened here. We have this, really the only really great season that the Pacers have had, at least, fun, entertaining. People agreed that it was a good year for them was that first year in 2017-18, and Sabonis was a big part of that, along with Oladipo. So I think some of it stems from that. But I agree with you. Turner is a plug-and-play guy. His skill set is coveted across the league, and he could fit any NBA roster with his ability to defend and step out and shoot. Whereas Sabonis, I think you have to cater towards a little bit more, and that may be difficult. So where Sabonis pound for pound might be a better player, I do wonder sometimes if Turner maybe has some more widespread value among the other 29 teams in the league.
So Derek Schultz via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I don't know about you, but I love this, and I said this earlier. I loved when the NBA started this year, Christmas, and I love where they're ending right now. And I wish there was a way to make this workable, because I hate it when they start in mid to late October. But I love this. To me, this year has been really entertaining, and it makes it better this time of year with the finals still going on. And I thought it made it better when it all got underway basically on Christmas, this past 2020. Do you like the way that it's been this year because of the pandemic? And I know they're going to go back to the old way, and I'm sure that's great. But I like where this schedule has been drawn out this particular year. I like where it started and where it ends. How about you?
Oh, I love it. But I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to just look at a way to just shorten it. I think we need to stop doing 82 games, and that's going to be tough to give up the money in the gate from attendance, in the post-COVID world. But I'm with you. I normally I'm not really fully immersed in paying attention a lot to the NBA until Christmas anyway, because there's so much other crap going on in October and November that it's hard for me to kind of transition mentally into the NBA. So, and I would love it to cover up the dog days of summer. I know Indy isn't like, let's say, Chicago or some of these other places that have a major league or several major league baseball teams. But, in the sports radio business, this was always kind of the dead period of the year. So to have the NBA finals, cover up what normally is the worst portion of the year or the slowest portion of the year, it's great for fodder and all that. I mean, you're used to 4th of July week talking free agency and all that. I thought it was weird to have a 4th of July where there was no breaking NBA free agency news.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, you end up getting that from basically one or two sources anyway. You know what I mean? So, you just kind of follow them, and that's kind of what it's turned into as far as the NBA is concerned. But I think, at least to me, and some may have completely checked out because of the matchups or whatever, but I like the gap that right now the finals are filling with actual play going on the court play going on, when normally, you're around free agency and you're kind of waiting on the All-Star game if you care about that, and watching baseball, and, you got the fringe Euros going on every 4 years, and certainly the fringe Wimbledon going on right now. I like the gap that is filled as much as I like the fact that you don't have everything going on. Everything going on in late October and into November. I like when you started at Christmas like that. They're not going to do it, as you mentioned, but I think that altogether it's more interesting and it fills some gaps in this case right now compared to what it normally might.
By the way, do you like the Suns-Bucks matchup? Because, of course, there's been a lot of talk about, it's Phoenix and Milwaukee. Nobody wants to watch that. But I thought personally it's kind of a breath of fresh air to have two franchises that largely have never really won much of anything face off against each other instead of the same old guard.
Yeah, I mention this all the time. I'm big on basketball in general, so I'm going to watch anything. But, yeah. That there's a new and freshness that, unfortunately for this argument we're bringing up right now, that I'm sure somebody's going to crunch the numbers television viewership wise and then come up with 90 million reasons as to why it wasn't a good matchup and why monetarily and viewership wise we're all wrong. But yeah, for the sake of the freshness, it is. It is nice and it is fresh. And, the story of, now the re-evolution, if you will, of Chris Paul, who started out being a fan favorite, who kind of turned into a phony and now has reemerged as another fan favorite. I think that's a really good storyline this time of year.
Yeah, it's wild. If you think about what people were saying about Chris Paul 3 years ago, or even 2 years ago on the exit from Houston, compared to what they're saying about him now, I really think that Oklahoma City, not to turn this into the Chris Paul conversation, that Oklahoma City year I think really started to turn things around for him, because most guys making what he made going to a bad team would have been like, screw this. This is a punt year for me. I don't want to be here. This team stinks. But he took it upon himself to kind of bring that team along and be the mentor in the locker room. And I think that he knew that his tenure was going to be short-lived there and still maximize that. And they had a really nice season. And I think that kind of catapulted him to, this fit, which has just been perfect with Phoenix. But, man, that's a really good roster, too, where they're so versatile and they can defend, 1 through 5. And, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't watch a ton of Phoenix Suns basketball this year, and I don't think anybody really did. But that's been the real revelation for me during these playoffs, where I'm watching, I'm thinking to myself, damn, these guys are really good. I guess I was sleeping on them all year.
Well, wasn't it funny? 2 summers or so ago, we were all kind of laughing and everybody was clowning on the TJ Warren deal. And what are they doing in Phoenix? Oh, my goodness, what a mess. And you look a couple of years later, and I don't think anybody even at all remembers that particular deal.
No.
I mean, I guess people still around here will pat Kevin Pritchard on the back and laud it. But, as far as what that meant for Phoenix, it is something I'm sure that they don't think about whatsoever around there anymore.
Yeah, it's wild because they not only did they give him away, they actually gave him a second rounder, didn't they, as well, just to get him off the books. I mean, and it's not that bad of a contract. In hindsight, I mean, look at what Ben Simmons makes, and then look at what T.J. Warren makes. You tell me, that's not a bad deal at all.
Yeah, in coaching wise, and I know because they're winning, everything seems to be a perfect fit. But it seems like that everything they have going right now, you bring in Chris Paul, that's been a perfect fit. You have a head coach that's seemingly with that group a perfect fit. I guess when you're winning, everything is more perfect. But it seems like by definition, that's what you look at Phoenix right now. Everything is kind of fit, and they're a couple of 3 wins away from taking on the prize right now.
Yeah, and what's cool to me is that I know a lot of people want to draw the parallels between Indy and Milwaukee because of market size and all of that, but really to me, and Phoenix is huge, right? But Phoenix is more of the comp to the Pacers franchise-wise, just in the sense that they've been good a lot, and they've been to the conference finals, and they've been to the NBA finals, but they just never won that elusive championship. And I think if a lot of people talk about, let's say, the Blazers as the Western Conference comparison to the Pacers. I think the Suns have always kind of been that, where they've had several different really good teams where you had the Barkley, Marley, KJ group, and then you had the Nash, Amare group, and then now you've got this group, just like the Pacers had the Boom Baby era, and then the J.O., our test team that won 61 games or whatever that was, and then, of course, the George, David West, those teams as well. I've always felt like those two franchises are very similar to me historically.
It's funny about Phoenix, too. I view Phoenix even because I'm older than you. You go back to the 80s, and they had Walter Davis, the remnants of, the 70s Suns when I think Cotton Fitzsimmons may have been the head coach, but maybe he wasn't back then. But at any rate, Walter Davis, and they had good players, but they would always get in the first round, and it seemed like they'd get in a matchup with the Lakers, and we all in the 80s, knew the outcome out west of most of the time when you got into a matchup with the Lakers, what was going to occur. So I more have that vision of them. But, yeah, I mean, the Barkley teams of the early 90s, that one, and then obviously that with Stoudemire and Nash. And, the definition of them then with that team was really good in the regular season but could not do anything in the postseason. And it's funny, this Phoenix team has just gotten better in the regular season and seemingly even better in the postseason, which is completely opposite to those Suns teams that we knew with Stoudemire and Nash and, running up and down the floor and quick paces of a couple of 10 years ago.
Yeah, they got screwed that year, whatever year that was, when Ori clotheslined Nash on the baseline, and they basically suspended all those guys. I think Amari left the bench, so he got tossed. I really thought that was an NBA championship team that year. I think the Spurs ended up winning it, in fact. So I do wonder how much that particular incident kind of changed the narrative for him. But you're right. To see that growth. And I think that's what the NBA has really been missing is what we're seeing in the finals, where you kind of build it up. Like the Suns skipped a couple of steps in their build, but they built this up, right? The Bucks, Middleton and Giannis have been together for 7 years? That's forever in the league. And they've stuck it out together as the 1 and 2, and you just don't really see that anymore. So, look, the ratings might stink, and who cares? It's the Bucks and the Suns, whatever. Like, to me, kind of like you, just being the NBA is my number one. So being an NBA nerd, I'm enjoying it, even though I'm a little hesitant that this is going to be a competitive series because I don't think Milwaukee has the horses.
Are you jumping in on this NIL stuff right now? I mean, who's got the best deal out there so far you've seen? Anybody stand out?
Did you see this dude in Iowa that is like a D3 tennis player, and he put out this joke video? That's the stuff that I like. But I think as much as we focus on the top 0.001% in men's basketball and football, I think this is really going to benefit women's college sports because, let's face it, you're a much bigger star. If you're the best player on UConn, you're a much bigger star than you are if you're the best player on the Seattle Storm. You just are. And I think that's where, the NIL stuff really could be a game changer. But I'm happy for it, even if guys are just making, $500 or $600 in Venmo donations for a funny video. It's better than nothing.
I think I saw where Eric Hunter's got a camp going on at Purdue, right? Or somewhere around there, right?
That stuff too, yeah. And camp and this video game thing that people seem, you and I are old guys, so I don't really get it, but people seem to like, paying to play video games with people. But, to me, if I'm a chem major at IU, and they want me to go to Bluebird to play a gig over the weekend, I can go and make $500. I don't see what the difference is between just because I'm a basketball player or a lacrosse player, suddenly I can't do that. Like, to me, that's always been hypocritical. So I've always been for something like this. There are going to be some not so good things that come from this too, but I think the benefits outweigh the negatives.
Now, would you, if I put something together at, is it Tapper's Arcade, something like that, where we all played track and field and Donkey Kong and Galaga together? You'd be a part of that, wouldn't you? You'd like that?
Track and field is the one where you had to like tape your fingers together to hit A, B, and rub A and B together, right?
I used back in the day, we used to carry combs around in our back pocket, and you would put a comb over the top of your middle finger between your index and your forefinger right there, and that's what would work.
I was a huge RBI baseball guy.
Yeah, I like that too.
And the first, when I moved, I didn't know anybody in Indiana when I moved here to go to IU at Right Quad. So moving day on Right Quad, I was like, I'm just going to plug in a Nintendo, put it at full blast volume, and play RBI baseball. And I have lifelong friends that happened to wander in my room that day. That the godfather of my son wandered in my room that day, and we're still friends. So, that theme song of RBI baseball and just that game has been really impactful for my life. So that was my big number one as far as Nintendo sports games are concerned.
Why is Query not your godfather? He took offense to that, probably.
I almost asked him to stand up in the wedding because I think the Tux company was having this deal that if you bought 7 Tuxes, you get something free, and I had 6, and I was like, should I just ask Jake just so I get the freebie? And I decided ultimately not to do it. But yeah, I tell people, I shouldn't broadcast this because a lot of people listen to your show, unlike ours. We're really good buddies. We would have never made it as long as we did, and kind of to keep this going if we didn't have a good friendship and a good relationship. We kind of go for the older brother, little brother thing.
I think most people understand.
I think
that.
people get it.
Yeah.
I think people get the show, which is weird to think. Next month it'll be 10 years since we started the radio portion of it. That was August of.
Yeah.
We took the air 2 days after the State Fair stage collapse, which was just the most awkward, horrible, tragic thing to have to get on the radio and be like, hey, look, we've got a new show. We're excited after the city is just reeling from this horrible, terrible thing.
Yeah.
So that was a really bad day. Just in general.
What's interesting about it, I am how should I put this? I love this place and what I do here, but I am a friend for always of local radio and fully understand what it means, and will always want to give folks local because nobody else, I say this all the time, Derek, nobody else gives a fat crap about this place but us. Nobody does. Nobody cares about the Pacers. Nobody really cares about the Colts, but you'll get more love about the Colts because the NFL will just give you more love, but nobody really cares about any of that but us. And the where you guys were and where I once was, that's such a mess. You got to be kidding me. Forever, local content wins. And everybody always looked at us, well, you guys are competing. No, we offer local content for a variety of folks. And to me, you always want to stoke that flame. And unfortunately, monetary crap and stupidity and bad decision-making oftentimes gets in the way of that, which is unfortunate. Unfortunate for the folks that listen and the folks that live around here.
Yeah, we had a programming meeting, weekly programming meeting every Monday, and we did it after the holidays. So it was early January 2020, like the week before we got let go. And there were 12 people in that room, and 2 of them are still there, and the only person that's on air is Gunner with Q. So
well, I mean, I'm
even
back there.
Even the bosses are gone. They're out.
Yeah.
They're outsourced. They're not even in Indy. So it's just it is what it is. No hard feelings. I'm really grateful for my time there, but that's just life. You had the piano hanging over the wire, and eventually the wire snaps, and it is what it is. We're all, I think, better for it.
Yeah, and I mean that's something I bring up all the time, and I'm not going to get into being preachy here whatsoever, but the thing I started to do on Saturday is even more solidified how necessary and wanted a local live angle will always be around here. And it's unfortunate that some, out of market, in market, whatever, are unable to give that, because that's what the people really want. And listen, I may not be the smartest or the sharpest tool in the shed, but that's something I do know about being around here. And I've gone through a bunch of eras that's what the people want. And I think that we should try our hardest around here to give people what they want. And that's certainly it. And that's something I've realized by virtue of doing music, of all things, requested music on a Saturday night. I never thought that it would be that clear to me just by virtue of doing that, but it certainly has become that.
Yeah, and people want to hear about the teepee and Union Station and whatever that old water park was up in Westfield, when Westfield was all cornfields. And you're the only person, and somebody that lived here or lives and breathes Indiana is the only person that can bring that.
Let me tell you, the water park. If anybody ever brought up the Zoom Flume out by Lake Monroe this is well before you. But that was a cement relic where you get like third-degree burns rolling down that thing, even with the water back in the day. So, yes,
those 70s,
old
those
school
70s
water parks.
It is. Dangerous.
It is Derek Schultz with us. Hey, by the way, I just got a text that says, BS, we are coworkers, not friends.
Yeah, see, I know who that's from. That's the card that he's always going to play. But, you see it, John. Jake's had a lot of different jobs, and the longest job that he ever held was when he hitched his wagon to mine. So I think the results kind of speak for themselves there, who that partnership has really benefited.
Well, I mean, it's still going strong. I mean, you guys doing the weekly television show, so it stands to reason that it's worked. Hey, always a pleasure to talk with you. Give my best to the family, and continue doing what you're doing, and I'm assuming at some point we'll meet up. But if you ever want to do that Tapper's Arcade thing, I don't know what your old school arcade game is of choice, but we can do that in lieu of playing video games versus one another on the internet. So
yeah, absolutely, always down. Thanks for the invite, and same to you and yours, man.
All right, buddy. All right, Derek, I appreciate you. Derek Schultz right there via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Yeah, I don't want to get all preachy, because you get all preachy and you start hurting feelings that you don't mean to hurt or anything like that. Because I got a lot of friends that have to make tough decisions and crap like that. But man, I know what I know, and I've been around long enough to know too. So just by virtue of the Saturday thing, it just kind of hits you. It does. It hits you like a hammer, and it does tell you exactly what people want, what people have fun with, what people are looking for, and I certainly think we have a pretty good pulse of it. Hey, believe me, going in on Saturday nights, it's not like I said, hey, when I turn 51, I think I'm going to utilize every Saturday night I have and play music that's 35 years old. But it's fun, it's become a niche, and it just drives home even more how much so many of you out there love and thrive and want local content. Because, listen, we're the ones that care. Nobody else out there, nobody nationally cares. They just don't. They say they will for a moment. They might in a 10-minute segment if they're having the coach or a player on, but otherwise they don't care. And we do. It's a good thing. Good thing. It's something I maybe didn't fully realize until maybe a year or so ago, the level of importance. And you guys play that significant role as well. Quick break and we'll return. We got an update coming up at the top of the hour. Evan Sidery joins us. Locked On Colts podcast. He also covers the Suns for Forbes, and he has been at these playoff games. I think he was at the game 1, right? He's been there live, I believe, yeah. He's a longtime listener to the show and a really good dude, and he's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Don't lose out on the perfect house. Get pre-approved today with our 5-minute loan approval, thehomeloanexpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Health insurance companies are expected to carry health benefits, but CareSource does so much more. We look beyond doctors' offices and hospitals to see the challenges that face our members. Then we help them achieve not just better health, but better lives. Along with Healthy Indiana Plan benefits, we help our members find stable jobs, housing, childcare, and rides so they can find greater independence. At CareSource, we're removing barriers, we're improving lives, we're reimagining health insurance.
Hey, it's JMV for Andy Moore Buick GMC. That's 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers. Eric Wilson will guide you to just a great overall car buying experience, and one maybe you have not had in the past. Now, again, you're going to see construction, but don't let that bug you. You'll be able to slide right in there and ride out with the set of wheels that you want and a fantastic car buying experience that lives up to all those expectations. And in fact, the expectations that you should have. Over 400 vehicles to choose from, 0% for 72 months right now on most GMC and Buick models. It's at one place. It's Andy Moore Buick GMC. Tell Eric Wilson that I sent you. That's 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers.
Every game has 1,000 storylines. So if you've got an angle, a hunch, or some info you got from that guy in 10 fantasy leagues across the street, Unibet's got that bet. Unibet Sportsbook has all the bets you need for every game. Sign up now to get $500 risk-free. Download the app or visit in.unibet.com. Unibet Sportsbook. Crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in Indiana. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
It took us years to find the most perfect soft pretzel bun for Culver's Pretzel House Pub Burger. Oh yeah, years. That's how crazy we are about this burger. Seared beef plus not one, but 2 kinds of cheese. Aged Wisconsin cheddar and our signature cheddar cheese sauce, topped with house-pickled onion, bacon, tangy mustard bistro sauce, all served on pure pretzel bun perfection.
It's a mouthful. Culver's Pretzel House Pub Burger, now for a short time. Welcome to Delicious.
Hi, welcome to Culver's.
There is definitely an art to handcrafting a rich, creamy Culver's concrete mixer. Start by scooping our so incredibly fresh vanilla or chocolate frozen custard. Then add whatever mix-ins you crave. Oreo, salted caramel, or cookie dough. Hello! Blend till you get the perfect balance of goodies from top to bottom with every blue spoonful. Indulge in a thing of beauty.
Come to Culver's and let us create a concrete mixer masterpiece just for you-know-who. Welcome to Delicious.
Hey, JMV here from my friends at Diamonds Direct, the absolute best on making sure if you have a big-time gift-giving idea, I mean, you got a signature moment you have to hit, whether it's a birthday or certainly an anniversary this time of year, make no mistake, this is the best place to go. And exceptional at making sure the one thing that you have to do, if not close to near perfect, absolutely perfect, and that is that relationship, that engagement. You got to do it right, and there are so many different layers in which you need to do it right. Believe me, Diamonds Direct has you covered. With the selection, nobody is better. With the warranties and guarantees, the overall price tag, nobody is better. So yes, be perfect by going to the perfect place. That is Diamonds Direct today. Diamonds Direct, Keystone at the Crossing.
Dear driver, thank you. Thank you for slowing down when you saw the orange cones and road construction signs. My husband is one of those road workers. And today, you saved his life. If you hadn't slowed down, you would have missed that lane change, driven right into the work zone, and you would have killed him. Because you were driving differently. He'll be at our son's Little League game this weekend. He'll be there to walk our daughter down the aisle. He'll be out there tomorrow, making Indiana's roads safer. Thank you.
When driving in a construction zone, be smart, be alert, be in the zone.
This is Kelly Watson, business manager of Labor's Local 1112. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, open your eyes, pay attention.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
PNC Bank believes that if your smartwatch can help you avoid overdoing it during a workout, then your bank should be able to help you avoid an overdraft fee. Introducing Low Cash Mode, available with Virtual Wallet, the financial watch out that gives you advance warning, multiple options, and at least 24 hours of extra time to help avoid an overdraft fee. Because we believe how you handle overdrafts should be in your control, not just your bank's. And now through September 28th, earn up to $300 when you open and use a select new Virtual Wallet product. Simply establish a qualifying direct deposit. To learn more, visit a branch or pnc.com/checking offer. Virtual Wallet with Low Cash Mode from PNC Bank. One way we're making a difference. Low Cash Mode is a service mark of the PNC Financial Services Group, Incorporated. Virtual Wallet is a registered trademark of the PNC Financial Services Group, Incorporated. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Play the Capital Golf Charity Amateur Tour July 10th at Bear Slide for $70. Support great causes like Wounded Warrior Project and V Foundation. CapitalGolf.net.
The Ride with JMV.
JMV does not suck at all.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
You can buy me a boat. You can buy me a truck to pull. You can buy me a Yeti.
Scott Patterson chimes in. Thunder Island. I still have my old staff shirt. The scene of much bleeding and head trauma. Listen, there are two former water parks. I shouldn't even say water parks. They weren't water parks. They were just water rides. Those of you down in Monroe, Lawrence County, around Lake Monroe, remember the Zoom Flume? There are still remnants of that, I believe, in the woods, right over off the causeway on 446. Still some leftovers, but it was a concrete water slide. And that thing was going to give you some floor burns, everybody. Strawberries were had. So the Zoom Flume was one, and there used to be one down at Boggs, and I don't know how many years that lasted. Late 70s, early 80s, maybe 1 year or two. But there was one on the beach at Boggs. And that was fun for a while, but then it got, that was before you had to wash yourself off, and everybody would go directly in from the lake into the water, and at the pool where you landed in a water slide was like lake water. So they weren't water parks. It was like water slides, random water slides. This is from Mark at JMV. My usual 75-minute drive from Fishers to Bloomington and back allowed me 3.5 hours to listen to you Saturday night. I really enjoyed the drive, thanks to your playlist. And one of the best parts about that is it makes it tough, and sometimes it's concerning because the clock will be ticking and I'm not ready to do anything. But there is no list. I mean, you guys call, or I think, mostly it's you guys call. There is zero list. And there's no me going to, get this. And nobody prints out a list of things for me to play. It's that. It's the spontaneity of it that you just don't get any place else. I mean, no place. Nowhere around here. There's no doubt. But it's just kind of living in the moment. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm playing until 30 seconds left into whatever's playing at that time. But thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. I will also say this. I was listening to a TLC because, by the way, Aunt Paris has to get Mike Wells and I backstage for their free concert coming up over at Lucas Oil Raceway later on this month. It's Keith Sweat, Johnny Gill, El DeBarge, and Stephanie Mills. We got to get backstage, and I want to see Mike Wells do a little Make It Last Forever in front of everybody. But I was listening to TLC over the weekend. They do something called the Friday Jump Off, and it's awesome. DJ Skids is the best, and I got to give a shout out to I think it's King 317 King, DJ King, and Kenny Kicks. That was really good. I listened a couple of different times over the weekend, and it was really good stuff. So shout out to them. Rob's up next at 239-1070. Hello, Rob. How are you?
JMV, nice to talk to you. Thanks for having Jake, or I'm sorry, not Jake, but Derek on. That was nice to hear him. He's a great guy. It was fun to hear. I want to ask you a sports question if I could. Who's going to win this series, Milwaukee or Phoenix?
Listen, because they already have one win, I would go with the Suns right now. But initially, I picked Milwaukee, and I guess I'm kind of understanding why I should have picked Phoenix after last night.
They can't put really big guys on Chris Paul. That didn't work so well last night. That's all I saw.
Man, he's knocking down shots too. I mean, you talk about a guy that was one of the guys and a fan favorite, and then he kind of went down the tubes a little bit, right, and became kind of described as a phony, and now has elevated his game and that persona back up to where, he's going to go down in history at the point guard position for sure.
Well, I don't care about the idea of small markets. I like watching those two teams.
No, I agree.
Game last night.
And that makes us basketball fans too. I mean, that's why we're different from those that are entitled the Stephen A. Smiths of the world and those that cover it from ESPN that whine about having to go to Milwaukee to watch and cover a basketball game or to Phoenix to watch and cover a basketball game. I mean, that should be you got to be embarrassed. I mean, you just got to be embarrassed by that.
I agree. And short note, Thunder Island was in Westfield off Highway 31. I did lose some skin off parts of my backside, so I know exactly what you're talking about there. And one last thing before I go, the show on Saturdays, I call in all the time.
I do.
I've got people calling in to me requesting, and the lady from Washington, the state of Washington, that you played a double shot of BGs. You made her night. And we're coming back next weekend with a double shot of Empire Records. So get ready.
I got to go to the Empire Records soundtrack. Yes.
Yeah.
I can do that for you. That's that was like Liv Tyler's breakout role after she was starred in Aerosmith videos. Right?
Yes, yes. And Renee Zellweger is actually singing on a song we're going to request.
Oh, man.
So, yes.
I'll be digging for that.
Yeah, we got you hooked up. And, man, thank you so much because when you started doing it, you made me an addict. You got me hooked, so we have fun. So we've got them listening from all over the country now and texting me to say, I want to hear this.
That's awesome, man. It makes me feel really good. That's why. Hey, thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Rob in Elwood is a consistent caller and requester, and that makes me feel good. I mean, that makes me feel good. And by the way, we did have Derek on, so I'm sure that Derek's going to love to hear that. For having Jake on. That is well-timed, and that can add to a conversation. I'm sure they can spark a conversation with their show coming up next week regarding that. But nah, man, it is good. It's funny now with that on Saturday. I've heard from people that actually PD other radio stations that would like to add it, which is it is a different realm because this is just me, right? I'm just in there by myself. I know about 25% of what's going on in a studio. Kyle can tell you that I know really close to nothing. So I would have to add somebody in there with me, I'm sure, to keep me on any sort of clock. But they've asked if I could do that for, add that to different stations that are out of the B105 listening area. Now, I will tell you that they stream. I mean, they have an app and they do stream. But I'd be willing to add it. I'd be willing to add that to your rotation on a Saturday, but it's fun. I never thought I'd be going in at 51 and doing a live Saturday night show, but it's guys like that, callers like that keeps me coming back too. It is incredibly enjoyable for me, which we already have a fun job we're working with right now. It makes it even more so. Quick one. Evan Sidery, top of the hour. Locked On Colts podcast, Suns reporter for Forbes. We're going to get the lowdown on a couple of different fronts coming up with Evan. Top of the hour, 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. It's the final week of Big O's Buy 3 Get 1 Free sale, and don't forget to take advantage of Pay Nothing Today financing options. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Summer is here, so kids, tell your parents about the Forum Credit Union's Sprout of the Month contest, where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
When it comes to working at Geico, our best advocates are our employees, like Maxine. But since she is so focused on growing her career, we hired an actor to read her story.
At Geico, I love mentoring the new associates to help them make this a career and not just a job.
And with new opportunities and job stability, Geico has been helping people grow their careers for over 75 years. The only downside, she still hasn't met the gecko. Where are you, fella?
Ready to start your career, Indy? We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Indy.
Got a great idea for you. Keep this number handy, 317-284-9526. It's Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing. Anything large, anything small. Like, I'll give you a great example. I can go from one end of the spectrum to the other, and here's why. Because they installed a brand new garbage disposal, and that's not that huge of a gig. They do it easily and the absolute best, but they also are there for you at your time of emergency, and that's why I want you to keep this number in mind, 317-284-9526. Coldest day of the year, back in February. I've got no water on a Sunday morning. I lob them a call, and Lance and his local team, they're out there, and it is done by noon. Sunday, coldest day of the year. That's an emergency right there when you have no water. That's why I rely, and you should too, on the absolute best. That's Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing. 317-284-9526. Online for more info, ldsmithplumbing.com.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a no-charge appraisal? It's never asking for a credit card or charging for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan.
No risk on refinancing, but I live for danger.
With our rates at a low 2.25%, refinancing with Golden Oak is anything but risky business. Get started today at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.195% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
There's Pablo in his natural habitat, opening his internet bill in fear. He just saw his 12-month promotional price ended. Uh-oh, and he just discovered the equipment fees. Back away slowly.
If your internet bill drives you wild, just remember, you're not a bad person. You just need a straightforward price. Get AT&T Fiber. Unlimited internet with no price increase at 12 months. Visit att.com/no hidden fees. Limited availability in select areas.
Hey, JMV here, and I hear about it all the time. You want to get involved in the red-hot housing market, either by virtue of downsizing or upgrading. But let me tell you, it's as red-hot as the realtor you deal with. I'm going to give you the best right now. So write down this number, Mark Dietl, 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. MarkDietl.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com today. You can count on him. In fact, he's going to give you a guarantee or a promise, if you will. Multiple offers in 3 days, or he is going to sell it for free. I know Mark. He's a friend, and he is going to get the job done for you. Again, multiple offers in 3 days, or he is going to sell it for free. It's Mark Dietl Realty today, 317-755-4232. Make sure you get the most out of what you're doing in the housing market. 317-755-4232. That's markdietl.com, markdietel.com today.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. A cash-out refinance is just as easy as a normal refinance, but we don't stop there. We get you the cash you need to pay off those high-interest rate credit cards, get caught up on your bills, make those home improvement projects a reality, or even take the family on a vacation. How much money can you save? Let's find out now. thehomeloanexpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Hey, if you haven't downloaded the Barstool Sportsbook app yet, what are you waiting for? It's just a few hours until the MLB first pitch, and you don't want to miss out. Pick up your phone, download the app, open it up, and get your bet in now.
Do you need air conditioning service and are looking for a local dealer you can trust, like Marshall Mechanical in Franklin? Find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
The Cubs host the arch-rival Cardinals in an NL Central Division matchup. Saturday evening at 6 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
It takes him a second to get on the stool because he's under 5 feet tall.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Evan Sidery, top of the hour, is going to join us. Locked On Colts podcast. Forbes, Suns reporter. He's been in the postseason at all sides. He was at game 1. He's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. At JMV 1070 via Twitter. Boogie Mountain season ticket holder here from Mark. Thank you, Mark. JMV, the Pacers have Miles Turner starting center, Goga Batadze backup center, Domas Sabonis starting power forward. Do they need another big and not get rid of them this offseason? They need a backup power forward and Stifikit. Thank you for it. JMV, track and field, used an ashtray and drumsticks and took the controller apart. Track and field, I used a comb because we used to carry combs in our back pocket. Had to. I had the butt cut and the feathered hair. I needed a comb. I still do now. Have you seen this hair? Shout out PAI. I still do right now. I could feather this thing right now. But a comb in the back pocket, I used that on track and field constantly. Quick one. Evan Sidery, top of the hour. We've got NBA, we've got Colts, and a lot more for you. 93.5, 107.5, 1070 The Fan.
You have a lot more equity than you think. Now is the perfect time for a cash-out refinance. TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
At Huntington, we've been asking ourselves, can we make saving money any easier? And we think we've solved it. Introducing Money Scout. It analyzes your spending habits, income, and expenses to find money not being used in your checking account, then pushes it to savings automatically. Why would a bank do that? Just to help people thrive. That's how we reinvent banking. Huntington, welcome. Subject to eligibility, terms, conditions, and account agreements. Learn more and enroll at huntington.com/moneyscout.
Hey, JMV here. CarX, your 13, soon to be 14. I'm assuming right now, but I guess I should ask Joe Childers because he runs. And I mean, if you need something done on your set of wheels right now, CarX is the place. But they've either have a brand new opening over in Brownsburg or they're just about ready to. But just know over in Hendricks County around Brownsburg, you're going to be covered. And they're going to keep you summer travel road ready with lifetime brakes, $109.99 per axle. An AC inspection, just $19.99. And you can save $140 off a set of Continental and or Cooper tires with the purchase of their premium installation, the absolute best. Shout out to Micah. Mike is over in Plainfield now. He is the guy. So throughout central Indiana, your local CarX is here around the Indianapolis area, run by Joe Childers, the absolute best. Car, truck, or van, it's CarX.com for more info today.
This is the time of year you tennis fans have been waiting for. With BetMGM, anyone can capture that Grand Slam championship feeling. Just step on the court with the king of sportsbooks for your chance to win $100 in free bets when you place a $1 wager on any player to win Wimbledon. Hey, it's Big Joe, and if any player serves an ace during the tournament, you'll win $100 in free bets regardless of your bet's outcome. All you have to do is use my bonus code BIGJOE100 when you make your first bet to take advantage of this offer. Sign up now and you'll unlock access to BetMGM's live betting options, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, and more. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com and be sure to use my bonus code BIGJOE100, that's BIGJOE100, to win $100 in free bets if any player serves an ace at Wimbledon. This is a new customer offer, paid and free bets. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Indiana only, must be 21 or older to wager. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Circle K is America's thirst stop. And yours, especially when the weather gets... and you need to stay refreshed on the go with ice-cold Circle K favorites like freshly ground iced coffee, Froster, Polar Pop Cup, and more. And right now at Circle K, save on all 20-ounce Coke products, 3 for just $4.25. When life's go, 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 make us your first stop. Because Circle K is America's thirst stop.
Hey, JMV here for Connecticut. Oh, shout out to Joe, John, and Dennis, the official hydration of the JMV Backyard Bourbon broadcast, which number 2 is coming to a backyard near you, maybe yours, later on this month. But right now, you asked for the JMV special. They're going to give you $200 off the purchase, your purchase at Connecticut going on right now. And believe me, if you don't have Connecticut water, you don't have the best. Whether it's the Premier Series water softener or the K5 in-home drinking water station, go with the best and mention my name and get $200 off as well of your purchase at Connecticut, the official hydration of the JMV Backyard Bourbon broadcast. The 2 locations, northeast side Castleton, south side US 31 and Southport Road. The Connecticut Water app, download that to your smartphone or device today or online for more info. That's ConnecticutIndy.com.
Diamonds Direct takes value to a whole new level with a spectacular summer store-wide sale. Get ready. It's July 14th through the 18th. 5 days of extra savings. 20% off Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable prices. A multi-million-dollar selection of rings, earrings, bands, and bracelets. Virtually everything's on sale. Plus, top jewelry designers are flying in with all new collections. The buying opportunity of the year. Extra savings store-wide. Mark your calendar. July 14th through 18th only. And only at Diamonds Direct. Official jeweler of the Indianapolis Colts. Keystone at the Crossing.
Oh, while we're in lawn and garden, I was thinking I should pick up one of those little things for watering my plants.
A hose?
No, the things that look like teapots, but for plants. You know, you tip it over and it goes blah, 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 blah.
You're good at describing words you've forgotten.
Like those things that give the plants a shower, you know, that you fill up.
A watering can?
Yes, a watering can. I knew that.
We're good at your insurance. Find an Indiana Farm Bureau insurance agent online, over the phone, or in person, and stop knocking on wood.
Need new tires? Skip the long appointments and bad coffee. With Go Mobile Tires Indy, order tires online and have them installed at your home or office. GoMobileIndy.com. We come to you.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Hey, it's Mark at the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe. And coming up Thursday morning, Pacers president Kevin Pritchard stops by at 9. We get started at 7.
The Ride with JMV.
I'm the bullish prince.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Miles Colvin, Heritage Christian Guard. Shout out to Z Paulson, who dropped that inside the lounge via YouTube Live. Class of 2023 is committed to Purdue. Saw that also via Kyle Nedrip of the Star, friend of the show, and Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver. Lawrence North has committed to IU. So a couple of storylines, one legacy storylines for both Purdue and IU. And a shout out to, and I would advise you, those of you that miss Robin Miller on this show and certainly miss ours weekly mailbag, the message regarding putting that on pause. And, ours has said before, but he doesn't want to talk about it. And until Racer.com put out this note right before the start of the show, I didn't really want to go into it, but a lot of you are asking, where his mailbag has been and, why we haven't heard R on here in a while. Obviously, he's dealing with illness, and we are thinking about him, and I cannot wait till a time again when we can all go over and have some workingman's friend. Because speaking of friend, not only is he just awesome to have on, but he's a longtime friend, and we're thinking about him today. But just for those of you that have asked, that is the situation with R right now. And, most of you are privy to it. Some of you aren't. But I never really wanted to talk about it unless R gave me the okay, and then seeing this from Racer.com, because so many people rely on that and are interested in his mailbag weekly and have noticed that it has not been done the past couple of weeks or so. It is on pause for right now, and our thoughts and well wishes to our friend Robin Miller as always. There's no doubt. Derek Schultz a little bit earlier. We'll podcast that up, 1075thefan.com. But joining us now, he is Locked on Colts podcast host, and I swear I didn't know that until we hooked up with him a little bit earlier. I feel bad about that. Suns reporter for Forbes, and he's been a part of this, covering the Suns for a while. Evan Sidery joins us. Hello, Evan. Thank you for joining the show. How are you?
JMV, doing very well. I'm really glad to have you on. How are you?
Man, it's awesome. Obviously, I follow you, and I've been following your tweets regarding this Suns team. And before we dive into that, though, talk a little bit about, because I mentioned as I introed you and brought you onto the show, I guess I was unaware of your presence regarding Locked on Colts and that podcast. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I actually run on the Locked On Podcast Network, the Locked On Colts podcast. It runs currently a couple times a week in the offseason. During the season, we'll be back to 5 times per week, Monday through Friday, covering all the latest news in the Colts. So if you guys want to go subscribe on that, we greatly appreciate it. We do have some great guests on, like Kevin Bowen, as well. He's a frequent guest on there. So if you guys want to get some Colts fix and listen to a great podcast, Locked On Colts is a good place to stop by and check out.
How many different podcasts you do? Do you do the one for the Colts? Do you do one for the Suns as well as writing about them?
Yeah, I actually do my own independent Suns podcast as well to go on with the writing. That's the Sunscribe podcast. If you go on the link on my Twitter bio, which is sunscribe.substack.com, you can click on the link there and it'll take you straight to my podcast. So I juggle a lot of hats, as you can tell. I'm from Indiana. I moved up to Arizona about 5 years ago. Got into a great spot now with the Phoenix Suns. You couldn't see that a couple years ago where they were now, but it's been a hell of a ride for sure.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that. We may double back to the Colts conversation, Evan, with you in just a second. But I kind of mentioned, I was talking to Derek a couple of minutes ago, and I remember a couple of years ago that we were talking about the T.J. Warren thing, and, all we talked about was highway robbery and what Kevin Pritchard got away with as far as, getting T.J. Warren, a guy that can score, at a high level in the NBA, and we all thought that maybe the Suns were circling the drain. Clearly, that has not been the case. What was the signature moment where that team transitioned into or went down the path of what we see it after winning Game 1 of the NBA Finals last night?
I think it all started when the Suns kind of just hit the full reset button, hiring James Jones as the general manager, hiring Monty Williams as their head coach in 2019-2020. Monty Williams actually chose the Suns over the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James. He wanted to build out his own culture from the bottom up. And with the young Suns roster, he's been able to do that for sure with Devin Booker, DeAndre, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. There's so much young talent on this Suns team all coalescing together. I think that one moment back then, getting Monty Williams, helped establish the Suns as kind of not more of a laughing stock anymore. They were for almost a decade, missing the playoffs for 11 straight years. Now their first time back in the playoffs since 2010 in the NBA Finals, up 1-0 over the Bucks. It's such an incredible story, honestly. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in NBA history, where a team is in the dumps and then less than 2 years later they're on the doorstep of an NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's Evan Sidery joins us, covers the Suns, also covers the Colts with the Locked On Colts podcast. Is there one? I mean, we point the finger at Devin Booker, what he turned into after being the 13th pick. Obviously, you get the number 1 overall, and then you bring in Chris Paul if you're covering the Suns out there. Which one of those has meant the most? I mean, obviously Booker and the way that he is playing is at the highest level right now, but it seems like the other two that I mentioned also played a role into getting this team to where it is right now on the brink.
Oh, absolutely. Chris Paul was the big difference maker here. Devin Booker, I know many people haven't watched Suns basketball the last couple of years just because the Suns have been a dumpster fire before Chris Paul arrived, winning less than 25 games over the last 5 years. But Devin Booker has been a star-type player really for the last couple of years. He's a great scorer, just was surrounded by awful talent around him. But getting Chris Paul on board there, having DeAndre Ayton, the number 1 overall pick in 2018, develop into what he is now as a two-way presence, signing Jay Crowder, a tough, gritty free agent who can play defense on the wing and shoot the ball as well, drafting Mikal Bridges, drafting Cam Johnson. That whole core of young guys is in place. They just need to add that one key veteran superstar piece to take them over the top, and that was Chris Paul, even though he's age 36. Many thought he was probably over the hill at this point after what he's done the last couple of years with some injuries in the playoffs with some bad luck, but a perfect fit. This roster just set up perfectly for Chris Paul to see his strengths go through, having Booker, having Ayton, all these other young guys around him. Monty Williams, actually his former coach with the New Orleans Hornets about 10 years ago. They're now reunited with the Suns. just a perfect ecosystem for Chris Paul to thrive in. And without Chris Paul, the Suns are not anywhere close to where they are now. They're probably a 7 or 8 seed in the West with a first-round exit instead of where they are in the finals right now. The Chris Paul move really changed everything. That's almost like the Charles Barkley trade with the Phoenix Suns in 1993 when they acquired him, and then they lost to Michael Jordan in the finals.
Yeah, Evan, too. What was that met with when it was first announced that Chris Paul was going to be a member of that team? And obviously look at James Jones and what he has done. I mean, he is absolutely hitting all the right buttons. There's no question about that. But what was that decision met with initially there? Was absolutely everybody on board with it, or was that something that was questionable with that young team for some?
No, a lot of fans actually were not on board with the idea because there was rumors percolating around the Chris Paul news for a couple weeks before the trade actually happened. And we took a poll around Twitter and other websites, and really a lot of Suns fans were really hesitant to do this because Chris Paul is 35, 36 years old. All these young guys around 22 to 24 doesn't make sense of their timeline. And honestly, with the past and what we've seen, it didn't make a lot of sense at first because Chris Paul would help them get to the playoffs, but how far would he make them go? That was the biggest question. And honestly, what they've done so far, I would say more so when the trade first happens around 60-40, fans were against it because it probably was against their timeline a little bit, probably a little too fast they're moving. But James Jones, like you mentioned there, JMV, he thought the Suns were in a position to make a run for it. Went and got Chris Paul for, I think, a pretty good price they paid for him looking back on it now. But, man, that trade looking back on it now is changing the franchise forever for this Phoenix Suns team where they're 3 wins away from their first title in franchise history. And from covering this team when they were 19 wins a couple of years ago, it truly is incredible where they are right now. It still kind of shocks me.
Yeah. Is there still, like, it is funny. It's almost like, and I guess when you win 19 games, you're going to get that type of reaction. But, I mean, listen, the Suns have had, a couple of different eras, and I even go back further, like the Walter Davis era, and, I remember back, the late 70s, early 80s, when they were always good, but never able to, get to the level that they did in 76 and, going all the way to the NBA Finals back then with and losing to the Celtics. But I always think about it. It still looks like a surprise crowd, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. They look still kind of stunned, excitably stunned that the Suns are at the level on which they are right now.
Absolutely, yeah. I would definitely say many thought this team maybe creep around the playoffs this year, maybe make a surprise run at the second round, but no one in their right mind thought that the Suns being in the NBA Finals and potentially winning the NBA Finals this year after missing the playoffs for the last 11 years. Like if you've been following the Suns closely for the last couple of years, they have truly been a joke of the NBA. They've been making poor roster decisions left and right, drafting guys in the top 5 that didn't work out. It's just been everything around Devin Booker has not worked out. They drafted DeAndre and that worked out. Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson also worked out as some young guys who can play some roles. But outside of that, it just has not worked out for the Suns, whatever they're trying to do. But once James Jones took over and once they hired Monty Williams, that all changed. And it's crazy to say just how much they've done in less than 2 years since they've both taken over in their full-time roles because this rebuild is so fast accelerated right now with all these young guys. It's more so like maybe a 4 or 5 year rebuild. But to do this in about 18 to 20 months, JMV, I mean, that's just something we've never seen before. I think the Suns honestly have set a blueprint for other NBA teams, and I hate to throw us back on the Pacers because I still follow them from out here in Phoenix, but I think if teams want to follow the Suns formula, you either need a tank for a couple of years and have those young guys and be in that position, or you need to go out and get aggressive and trade for a star like Chris Paul because if you don't do either of those things, you're kind of stuck in the middle there. You're kind of going to be running rudderless for a little bit.
Well, I mean, with the Ben Simmons thing, and this probably won't happen, but it's been talked about a couple of different times, and then somebody had a report on it at the end of this past week about the Pacers maybe showing interest. And, coming from a standpoint where Ben Simmons was a mess at the end of the Sixers playoff run, disappointingly so, I thought, man, that would be a great opportunity now to get a guy at his lowest market value that is considered an upper echelon player and maybe certainly would benefit in a change of scenery. And I'm not trying to make the comparison to that of Chris Paul because, Simmons is much younger than Paul. But in terms of trying to find, I guess, trying to manufacture without drafting one a superstar. For the Pacers around here, it's just kind of a dream until I think you've got to make it happen yourself. And that may be ultimately the only way that they're ever going to legitimately do it is be lucky and then have somebody at a low market value and trade for one.
Yeah, totally agree with you. They have to hit on this 13th pick. Luckily, if Pacers fans want to have a little optimism, Devin Booker was the 13th pick in the 2015 draft. I mean, if they can hit on that pick, that's going to set them up for years to come. But I think they got to make a move this offseason. If you're Indiana, like the Ben Simmons news, when I saw it come across my Twitter timeline, I was all aboard for that. I mean, I think the Pacers need to make some sort of risks. I think that they've seen the potential with this team. I know they've had a lot of injuries this past year, but I mean, maybe they make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals in the next couple of years or make a run to the second round. But what does that do for the long term of this team? I just don't know if the ceiling is there for the Pacers. And following that Suns kind of formula, I mean, I have to imagine a lot of teams now, seeing what the Suns are doing in the finals, are going to try to think of wanting to make an aggressive move here or there, or even try to bottom out like the Suns did for about 3 or 4 years there to accumulate all these young guys who can grow together. It's something to me where, especially a team like the Pacers, who feels like they're in the middle right now, it's something you have to seriously consider because I think Ben Simmons, even though he did have such an awful playoffs where he seemed to be scared to shoot, I mean, having Rick Carlisle there, having Turner or Sabonis, whoever stays there, having LeVert, I mean, that's a good formula for a guy like Ben Simmons to walk into or whatever move they try to make. Even C.J. McCollum in Portland, I want to be opposed to that kind of move for them as well. I think the Pacers need to make some sort of move there, and following that formula that the Suns did, I think it's going to be a very popular trend moving forward.
Evan Sidery joins us. He covers for Forbes, the Suns, also does Locked On Colts podcast, which we'll get to in just a second. I mean, McCollum has that availability, and you certainly have your finger on the pulse of what is available and what won't be out west come this offseason. Anybody else out west of interest that may have availability to movement as far as not maybe a superstar player, but a fringe superstar type of player? Who might we be talking about?
Yeah, that's the biggest question, honestly. I mean, when you think about teams that could be blowing it up a little bit in the West, you could have Portland. I think this is probably the most likely scenario, whether it be Damian Lillard or C.J. McCollum. I think McCollum's the most likely to leave there unless Lillard forces his way out. Outside of that, in the West, there's really not many teams because the West is so loaded compared to the Eastern Conference. I mean, you have 9 or 10 teams that think they can make a run for the playoffs next year, maybe 11 or 12. If you add in a couple of teams like New Orleans with Zion Williamson, the more he develops down there in New Orleans, they can make a lot of sense and make a push next year. Outside of that, there's really not many guys in the trade market out in the West that make a lot of sense for the Pacers. I mean, looking east, you could see guys like Ben Simmons or even Washington with Bradley Beal if he wants to ask out. But I don't know if Indiana has that type of push for a guy like Bradley Beal. That's the thing with Indiana. I love Indianapolis. I'm from Indianapolis, but it's going to be so hard to get a star there on its own. You're going to either draft one or you're going to have to trade for one. And that's what they're going to have to do. I think the Pacers have to realize to themselves, it's time to make that move. It's time to make it happen right now because I think you're seeing the ceiling of this team is a playoff team, but I don't know exactly what that does for the long-term future of this franchise.
So Evan Sidery joins us. So is this well past? Is this Suns team positioned to be at this level for many years to come?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Booker is only crazy enough. He's been in the league 6 years. He's only 24 years old. DeAndre Ayton is 22. Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson are both 24 years old as well as their wings. Chris Paul's 36. He might be he's probably going to sign an extension for another 2 or 3 years after this season. So this core is going to be in place even with Chris Paul for the next 2 to 3 years. And then post Chris Paul, you're going to have Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and all these other young guys hitting their prime simultaneously. I'm not going to say it's a dynasty because I would not go that far with the Suns because this is a miraculous run they're on here in 2020, 2021. But this is a team out west now I think could be in contention to be a top seed in the West for the next 3 to 4 years and possibly beyond that because of Booker and Ayton's presence.
All right, so you also do the Locked On Colts podcast. Where's that available?
Yeah, you can go on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcast at. I'm going to be doing more daily podcasts here at the Colts as we get closer. I'm actually going to be coming back to Indy for training camp for a couple of days, so it'll be fun to get back out there and see them in action. So if you guys want to go follow wherever you follow your podcast at Locked On Colts, also at Locked On Colts on Twitter. We do some great stuff over there. So if you want to go follow, it'd be greatly appreciated.
All right, what do you guys talked about the most as far as, I know we're kind of in a down period, if you will, about 3 weeks until the start of camp up in Westfield. But I'm kind of curious, what's the major focus that's not about the quarterback and Carson Wentz and whether or not he can turn that career around here?
Yeah, outside of Wentz, I would just say just how balanced this roster is. I mean, I think the only question on this roster right now, JMV, is that second or third cornerback spot with Rock Ya-Sin, Marvell Tell, TJ Carey. Outside of that, though, I mean, this defense, it's young, but I think they're ascending to a point. Adding Kwity Paye is such a huge difference maker. He might not be an elite pass rusher year one, but I think I'm pretty solid on the guarantee he's going to be an elite pass rusher in the NFL very soon. Adding him next to DeForest Buckner is going to make such a huge difference for this defense. Might be a top 5 defense for the next couple of years. And then add on the offensive side, Jonathan Taylor had such a monster second half of the season. I think he's a guy that could be 1,500 yards rushing consistently for the next couple of years. Add in Michael Pittman Jr. and Paris Campbell. As you know, JMV, the Colts are hyping both those guys up to the moon throughout this offseason as weapons for their offense. A lot of young guys, a lot of banking on development there and potential, but if this offense hits and if those pieces on defense that they add in the draft hit eventually as well, this team's all set up, JMV. All I have to do is have a competent quarterback to get him over the hump.
All right, so how'd you end up getting to Phoenix, and what is the temperature out there today?
Oh, yeah. Temperature out here is currently 109 degrees, so it is pretty hot out here. But honestly, without humidity, JMV, I can't complain. That's the fun thing about the dry heat. Feels like it's 90 in Indy, like where it's 109 out in Phoenix. So not honestly that bad. But I got out here to Arizona because I actually finished school out here, going to ASU Arizona State. Was able to finish out my degree here. Got an opportunity to cover the Phoenix Suns for a SB Nation blog website. Got that opportunity and kind of ran with it. Now I work for Forbes and cover the team full time pretty much. So it's been a lot of seeing bad basketball for the last 3 or 4 years, covering 19 to 20 win teams, but the payoff's been worth it. I mean, the Suns are on the doorstep of an NBA title for the first time in franchise history, and this team's set up for the future for the next 5+ years. I mean, what an incredible run. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in the NBA.
Yeah, I've always loved, I don't know what ESPN was complaining about as far as, not wanting to go to Milwaukee in the summer or certainly Phoenix, because I love Phoenix. I love El Pollo Loco. It's one of my all-time favorites. I don't know how you view it. It's probably viewed as junk out there by people that can get it daily, but I love it.
No, hey, they have a really good burrito. I will vouch for that.
And I know everybody loves In-N-Out Burger, and you guys got many of those, right?
Yes. Hey, this might be a controversial take, but I think it's kind of overrated. I miss Steak and Shake. I miss Steak and Shake. There's not many out here.
Well, let me tell you, you don't miss it right now the way that it is. If somebody can try to improve it, hopefully, but yeah, with those that purchased it, you're sure as hell not missing it right now. You're not missing anything because they're all going out of business.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Oh yeah. It's it is. It's not what it used to be. Those are fleeting memories right now. Compared to what it used to be, unfortunately.
Times are changing.
El Pollo Loco and In-N-Out Burger. You guys got fat burgers in Phoenix?
I think we do, yeah. We also have Smash Burger as well. There's a couple different joints out here. There's a lot of different places, a lot of different options out here in Phoenix. So I love the food out here for sure.
And you guys, I'm just talking about the the fast food. You guys got Carl's Jr. too, right?
Yes. Instead of calling it Hardee's, they have it called Carl's Jr. out here, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You mentioned Hardee's around here, and people go Hardee's, but you mentioned Carl's Jr., but hey, Carl's Jr. is like it's something different, and it's not. But El Pollo Loco, man, that is awesome right there. It is. All right, Evan, tell everybody how they can get your stuff, whether reading that via Forbes or Locked On Colts podcast that you guys are doing.
Yeah, so if you want to go follow me on Twitter and go follow my work on the Suns, you can go ahead and do so at Esidery, Esidery. If you want to go follow Locked On Colts, like I mentioned earlier, go follow us on iTunes, Spotify, or go follow us on Twitter as well. We tweet a lot over there at Locked On Colts. So Colts season's right around the corner, so I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, the NBA Finals, the Suns are 3 wins away from a title. So busy times are under for sure, JMV.
All right. Where'd you go to high school?
Went to Westfield, Shamrock right here.
All right. Now, that place is probably unrecognizable around the high school compared to when you went there.
Oh, tell me about it. I mean, I come back there once a year, and it's completely changing every single time. It's crazy.
That putt-putt, I forget what it's called up there, and I've never been there, but I got to go. It looks like a crazy, awesome putt-putt up there.
Yeah, next to Grant Park. I've driven by it a few times. Yeah, that looks like it's a fun place to go.
Evan, I appreciate you. We'll check in again soon. Thank you very much.
JMV, I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Evan Sidery right there. Suns reporter for Forbes, Locked On Colts podcast. He is originally from Westfield. What is the name of that putt-putt? There's where I need to do another remote, is that putt-putt. That looks fun as hell. I love a good putt-putt. Back in the day in Bloomington, we did putt-putt for the fun of it, which is right out there off of Pete Ellis Drive, and you'll see remnants, leftovers, if you will, of that putt-putt. Because there, they not only had a putt-putt, which, by the way, if you miss badly, it would like go bouncing out into the street, which was pretty funny. But they also had batting cages, and back then you didn't have batting cages with the automatic pitching arm. They had a softball and a baseball one, and they had a arcade video room too. But I don't know what the name of that putt-putt place is up in Westfield, but it looks spectacular. And Steven's in with, and J. Law is in with birdies. Harley D says birdies. Hey, birdies, if you want me to come up and do a remote, let me know. We're up there all the time. Pacers Athletic Center up there on Friday. But that is a great-looking area. Birdies is what it's called. Jeremiah says Hardee's still has the best fast food breakfast around. Unfortunately, Steak and Shake is hurting. Yeah. Yeah, man, back in the day, that's one of the reasons why in this area we used to want to come up here. I mean, you'd come up here and everybody would always go to Steak and Shake. This is obviously before they expanded and went in other places, got down in Bloomington, places like that, but we'd always want to go to Steak and Shake. Yeah, not so much. Birdies, though, let me know about birdies. Have the birdies people let me know about birdies. We're on it. You know, the one thing that I learned over the weekend is, and this is a shout-out, too, this is another great putt-putt, and this is also a golf place where you can drive. I think they have a par 3 course, maybe more than that now, but Audi Golf down in Greenwood is another great place. And they not only listen to this show, but they listen to the Saturday night one, too, the JMV Takeover. That's Audi Golf in Greenwood. I literally have not been to putt-putt in forever. And that was a signature date. Like in the summertime, you and a date would putt-putt. You'd either putt-putt or you'd go to a movie, and you'd always go to Chi-Chi's. That was the go-to. We need that to reemerge, too. And I know it's a chain, whatever, but it was, those of you, when we dated back in the day, we had $25 in our pocket. That was enough to putt-putt, go to Chi-Chi's, or go to a movie and go to Chi-Chi's, and to pump $2 worth of gas in your ride. $25. Give me the sampler platter, and let's go. And then as you got a little bit older, you knew that they also had a fantastic happy hour. Yeah, I know. That's unfortunate about Steak and Shake. That's the way that it is. All right, quick break, and we'll return with you coming up on the other side. 30 minutes of me and you at 239-1070. Evan Sidery, reporter for Forbes, for the Suns, Locked On Colts podcast. Derek Schultz a little bit earlier, too, from the ISC television network. It's 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Play the Capital Golf Charity Amateur Tour July 10th at Bear Slide for $70. Support great causes like Wounded Warrior Project and V Foundation. CapitalGolf.net.
At Bank of America, we're helping to meet the need for more affordable housing through community development banking.
I'm Andy Krask, president of Bank of America, Indianapolis. My teammates and I are deepening our commitment to help meet the affordable housing need. Here in Indianapolis, we're also collaborating with Habitat for Humanity to expand options for more people. What would you like the power to do?
Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal housing lender.
At JMV for CarX, your central Indiana locations. Joe Childress run CarX, making sure that you are summer travel road ready. Now, keep this in mind. I know a lot of you are going to go out because we're counting down, 3 weeks away, probably for some, for the restart, the reboot of school. So make sure that your car, truck, or van is summer travel road ready with your Central Indiana CarX locations right now. Lifetime brakes, $109.99 per axle. AC inspection, just $19.99. And $140 off a set of Continental and or Cooper tires with the purchase of their premium installation. CarX and their CarX locations in Central Indiana. Log on today and find that location nearest you, CarX.com.
We're talking to Jeff Treichel and Aaron Williams from Penn National Gaming's Ameristar and Hollywood Casinos in Indiana. Jeff, we know we're going to absolutely love the Barstool app.
Absolutely. First and foremost, the Barstool app is super easy to navigate. Betting stats and trends are available, providing convenient betting information to ensure the players are making the most informed betting decisions.
Nice. Aaron, what else?
We offer the opportunity for our guests to cash out early with most bets as well.
Jeff, is it hard to sign up?
The Barstool app has seamless registration process. It's designed to ensure the easiest sign-up process with quick and secure online validation systems.
What else does the app offer?
We offer more ways to deposit and withdraw. We're introducing Venmo to our large and growing list of payment options that already exist.
Thanks, Jeff and Aaron. We're excited that Barstool Sportsbook is here in Indiana. You can download the Barstool app or head to Hollywood Casino or Ameristar Casino to place your bets today.
Summer happens at Speedway because everything you need for summer happens at Speedway. Like drinks. Drinks happen. The freshly brewed drink, the splashed over ice drink, the wake you up drink, the cool you off drink, the make your brain hurt for a minute drink. All poured however you want them, whenever you want them, all summer long. So on every hot day, you have something cold to sip. Speedway. Summer happens here. And now, get any size fountain or Speedy Freeze for just 89 cents. Excludes maximum.
PNC Bank believes that if your smartwatch can help you avoid overdoing it during a workout, then your bank should be able to help you avoid an overdraft fee. Introducing Low Cash Mode, available with Virtual Wallet, the financial watch-out that gives you advance warning, multiple options, and at least 24 hours of extra time to help avoid an overdraft fee. Because we believe how you handle overdrafts should be in your control, not just your bank's. And now through September 28th, earn up to $300 when you open and use a select new Virtual Wallet product. Simply establish a qualifying direct deposit. To learn more, visit a branch or pnc.com/checking offer. Virtual Wallet with Low Cash Mode from PNC Bank. One way we're making a difference. Low Cash Mode is a service mark of the PNC Financial Services Group, Incorporated. Virtual Wallet is a registered trademark of the PNC Financial Services Group, Incorporated. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Got Medicaid? Got Medicare? Get more benefits. A dual special needs plan from United Healthcare gives you dental coverage, credits to buy over-the-counter products, routine vision care, and much more. If you have Medicaid and Medicare, there's more for you. Call 1-855-556-7598. That's 1-855-556-7598. Benefits and features vary by plan and area. Limitations and exclusions apply.
It took us years to find the most perfect soft pretzel bun for Culver's Pretzel House Pub Burger. Oh yeah, years. That's how crazy we are about this burger. Seared beef plus not one, but two kinds of cheese. Aged Wisconsin cheddar and our signature cheddar cheese sauce, topped with house-pickled onion, bacon, tangy mustard bistro sauce, all served on pure pretzel bun perfection.
It's a mouthful. Culver's Pretzel House Pub Burger, now for a short time. Welcome to Delicious.
Welcome to Culver's. There is definitely an art to handcrafting a rich, creamy Culver's concrete mixer. Start by scooping our so incredibly fresh vanilla or chocolate frozen custard. Then add whatever mix-ins you crave. Oreo, salted caramel, or cookie dough. Hello! Blend till you get the perfect balance of goodies from top to bottom with every blue spoonful. Indulge in a thing of beauty.
Come to Culver's and let us create a concrete mixer masterpiece just for you-know-who. Welcome to Delicious.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. The housing market is on fire and homes are selling day one on the market with multiple offers. You really need a leg up on the competition to make sure it's your offer that gets accepted. And you really need to be making sure you're working with a strong mortgage lender. Don't lose out on the perfect house. Get pre-approved today with our 5-minute loan approval, only available at thehomeloanexpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Need new tires? Skip the long appointments and bad coffee. With Go Mobile Tires Indy, order tires online and have them installed at your home or office. GoMobileIndy.com. We come to you.
The Ride with JMV.
This will be the high point of my day. It's all downhill from here.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Derek Schultz, Evan Sidery today. Chapel tomorrow. Who's the guy we're having on from The Athletic that had Ballard on this week?
Robert Mays.
Yeah. Robert Mays coming up tomorrow, too. JMV, the $4 menu was the beginning of the end for Steak and Shake. Franchises who make no money don't invest in their business. Used to be the place to go. Yeah, we always want what we don't have, though. I mean, around here, thinking it's probably not any better than In-N-Out Burger and Whataburger. Probably not any better than anything else around here. It's like what we thought about Yuengling. Remember how much we talked about it before it finally got into Indiana? Hey, we're going to a Reds game. Let's stop right there on the border. We got to load up the trunk with a Yuengling. I did it too. It was kind of like we were smoking the bandit. We were running Coors beer across the Mississippi. It's illegal. It's called bootlegging. We can't do it. There's nothing illegal about it. But we didn't have it, and we wanted it. I'll tell you what's still amazing to me, for those of you that notice trends like this, is that run that they had. Well, how many summers ago was this? Like 7 or 8? And Not Your Grandfather's Root Beer? There was like 1, maybe 3 months in that particular summer where you couldn't even find it. Was like sold out everywhere. And, not so much anymore. Bill is up next at 239-1070. Hello, Bill.
JMV, how you doing this afternoon?
I am great. By the way, England just moved into the Euro final with a 2-1 win over Denmark. So there you go, Billy.
Oh, man. I got to check my card.
So they are at the Union Jack Pub and other spots here. They are excited with England winning.
They got to be feeling pretty good. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about the Olympics, but as far as the Pacers and the NBA, I think that number one, I think the Charlotte Hornets are going to end up with Damian Lillard. I think they're going to get Lillard. There's rumors to that out in Portland. I got a friend that's out there. This is that Michael Jordan's pushing pretty hard for it, that Portland wants to rebuild, and he's offering like 6 players. So if the Pacers want to be successful next year, and if Lillard does come to the Eastern Conference, then you've got Lillard, you got Westbrook, you got Tatum. I know I'm leaving somebody out. Levine from
I guess
Chicago.
My point would be, Bill, and I heard Evan talk about this a little bit earlier. Man, if you're Chauncey Billups coming in, that seems like the last thing you would want as a new head coach is to see your superstar someplace else. You know, even if he hasn't accomplished, or they, along with McCollum, has not accomplished what everybody had hoped and certainly where the bar was set, it seems like with a new head coach, if you're Chauncey Billups, I don't know if I would want to build from the ground up, as that certainly would imply.
Well, if you're Chauncey Billups and they failed to mention that they were going to move him, I would think you would have some trouble with their new employer.
I would be, I find that hard to believe, I guess.
That would be it would be tough, but the Eastern Conference is going to continue to get better, and I think Simmons. We need somebody that knows how to play defense out on the perimeter. I don't care if he can't shoot. I mean, you'd like him to shoot and everything, but we need defense. We just got schooled so bad in the play-in that you need perimeter defense. But I want to talk a little about the Olympics and get your take on this. I think this gal, this Sha'Carri Richardson, the sprinter. The 4x100. She's going to anchor the women's 4x100 relay team, the one that is not going to be able to compete because the IOC has said that she's ineligible because she tested positive for marijuana. What's your take on that? As far as
I mean, mine's the stick in the mud, like old guy sounded take of there are rules and rules are broken. I mean, listen, there's nobody that's more pro marijuana than me, and that's not like I don't roll around like Cheech and Chong. But I certainly understand. I don't think it's that bad, and I think it should be legalized. And I've said that for a long time. But, as of right now, it's not, and it's certainly against the rules, and you have to abide by those rules. I mean, it sounds like an old-school take, but I don't know how else to look at it other than that.
Well, I look at it that way as well, except I get tired of seeing all these Eastern European female weightlifters and everything that are built like Tony Saragusa. Because they've been juicing up. I mean, and that seems to happen every Olympics.
I mean, listen, you have to abide by the rules, and that's just kind of how I look at it, I guess. But it does sound like it's an old, forgotten, crusty dude take, even one that is pro marijuana as I've been for a while. So, and I don't smoke it up either. So everybody, I mean, you smoke? No, I don't. So.
Well, with the NBA,
not to say I wouldn't. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, you can always eat. You can always eat it. I mean, I just got back from Michigan.
I will say this, and man, listen, I'm 51 years old, and to get away from knee pain, I would do nearly anything, and especially if that anything, didn't compromise my condition by taking stuff, whether it's over the counter or whatever. Aspirin. I've taken a crap load of aspirin and ibuprofen in the past, and. If I could throw down like a brownie or something like that and that would ease some of the knee pain, I'd be all for it.
Boy, I tell you, we're only going to have to move into the 21st century. But, man, as always, love the show. When's the next remote going to be? Do you guys know when you're going to have
I do not. Thank you for asking for that. I do not know when it's going to be. As you can tell, I'm trying to work. I need to get up to Birdie's and do a show up there. We need to get to either Tappers, the arcade, or to Putt Putt to have a show. I'm trying to work that deal over the air right now.
Well, somebody tried to buy my JMV Sucks, Al autographed JMV Sucks shirt at the Mutt the other day.
That's awesome. Wear that bad boy with pride, man.
I always do. Hey,
Thank you,
we'll talk to you later, son.
Billy, I appreciate it. Hey, Brian wants to talk, and I love this. Weed at 239-1070. Talk up weed, Brian.
Yeah, hey, you're not being crusty, JMV, when you say that, about the gal that got busted for dope.
Yeah, I don't know how else to put it other than that. I mean, it's, should we look at it a little bit differently now, further down the road? Yes, but up until this point, we haven't, and you just I think you got to abide. So it's the only way to look at it for me.
The fact of the matter is that she knew the rules going in. It's just like where I work. If I get caught smoking dope or test positive for dope, I'm screwed. I know the rules going in. I might not like them, and it might not be fair, but it's the rules.
I agree with
you. Want to feed your family? It's just being practical. I don't think you're being crusty. I think you're being practical.
Yeah, believe me, man. If it got rid of knee pain or anything like that, that's why I guess I'm progressive in the sense of that. I don't even know if that's progressive anymore. I mean, that's almost like the legalization of marijuana is middle of the road now. But,
yeah.
I mean, it would be progressive in this state because it takes us forever to do anything.
I agree, and I think it should be legalized. But at that point, until it's legalized or until they change the rules for her,
I agree.
She's kind of screwed. But, all right, well, thank you.
B, I'll take your phone call anytime you put weed up there. And I am not weed guy, nor have I ever been weed guy. I've explained this before, man. I mean, it just, first of all, I don't smoke. I've never been a smoker. And I know there are different ways you can do it now, but it always put me to sleep. And I don't know about you, but the last thing I ever wanted to do at a party was fall asleep. And maybe it was just my friends or the people I hung around with. If you fell asleep, your ass was in a jam. And I don't mean, I know everybody's giggling right now, but no. I mean, you could end up with a frozen shirt. Anybody ever been falling asleep or passed out at a party and ended up with a frozen shirt? Yeah, see? Thank you. Todd Meyer brought the JMV Sucks Weed Farm right here. We've got 40 and 150. I know you don't need acreage, but we have it ready to go. Ready to farm and cultivate. I'm not a weed guy. I am not a weed guy. I never have been. I don't want to fall asleep. End up with a frozen shirt or, a marker mustache and pictures. This is before phones. Now it's really easy. But back then, it was you had to get a Polaroid camera and shake it like a Polaroid picture. JMV, you're probably lighting one in the studio right now. They'd probably have a problem with that on a couple of different fronts right here. See, I do. The gummies to fix my knees. I'm all for it. I can't imagine what, especially like ex-football players deal with. Know what I mean? That's just, I talk about it and I whine and cry about it. And who cares? What have I done? But, ex-football players, things of that nature, instead of going to the medication, if this were an option, I'd be all for it. Listen, I'd be all for it. Enough of that Cheech and Chong conversation right there. Quick break and we shall return. Thanks. JMV, the difference between Steak and Shake and everywhere else is it doesn't matter which Steak and Shake you go to. You always feel dirty now. Dirty. I haven't been in forever. And it's too bad, too, because that used to be a staple. The reason why you would go someplace. You came up here, man, that's where you'd go. Always. There or on the east side, the Paramount Pizza Palace with the, get ready for this and laugh, the tremendously large organ that was being played at the time. You guys had all that stuff up here. You had nice Steak and Shakes and a huge organ. Children's Palace. You guys had it all. We had nothing like that. You used to wait at the mailbox for the Sears wish list catalog. A quick break and we'll return for the final time. We'll get you set for tomorrow and more. This is 93.5, 107.5 and 1070 The Fan.
Summer is here, so kids, tell your parents about the Forum Credit Union's Sprout of the Month contest, where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
Honey, we're gonna make it.
We're gonna make it? We're gonna make it!
I just said that.
We're gonna make it!
Fill your tank with Amoco Ultimate with Invigorate and keep on moving. Amoco Ultimate with Invigorate at BP and Amoco stations.
When you sign up for BP Me Rewards, you can get 5 cents off every gallon of gas every time at BP or Amoco stations. That means more savings and more whatever you'd like to use your savings on. So treat yourself. It's on us. Visit bp.com/save to learn more.
Hey, Johnny, for Big Red Liquors, oh, man, shout out to Mark and my friends at Big Red Liquors. Hope everything's going okay, and it always is with Big Red Liquors because it's cold beer, hot prices, and even hotter prizes all month long. In fact, Big Red Liquors are going to give away 3, count them up, 3 big green eggs. Mark Sion, shout out right there, 3 big green eggs for you, so you can stop by any Big Red Liquors location. Enter to win. It's absolutely free to do so, but you must be 21 to enter, and there's no purchase necessary. Online, BigRedLiquors.com. I'll give you a great example. The Big Red Liquors at 31 and Fry Road is called Cask Strength, and it is legit. It has absolutely everything for you. Shout out to Matt, too. They do a great job down there. Big Red Liquors and giveaways. Each month, something different. The month of July, the Big Green Egg. For more info, it's online, BigRedLiquors.com today.
When it comes to working at Geico, our best advocates are our employees, like Michael. But since he is so focused on growing his career, we hired an actor to read his story.
If you want a job where you get out as much as you put in, Geico is the best place to work. Plus, we promote from within, so there are no ceilings placed on your opportunities.
They even offer parental leave to full-time employees. So there's nothing stopping him from going all the way to the top. But not too high. He's scared of heights.
Ready to start your career, Indy? We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Indy.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a no-charge appraisal? It's never asking for a credit card or charging for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan.
No risk on refinancing, but I live for danger.
I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. Refinancing with Golden Oak is anything but risky business. And with our mortgage rates at a low 2.25%, you can save hundreds each month and skip your next 2 payments. And remember, our local lending experts speak mortgage and love translating for our customers. Removing risk from your next purchase or refi means you can find your thrills elsewhere.
Skydiving? No. Cliff jumping. Wait, hang gliding.
Aren't you afraid of heights?
Stop. You're embarrassing me.
Get started today with our simple zipline tool at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.195% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Hey, JMV, the NBA Finals are here. FanDuel Sportsbook has a championship offer that you don't want to miss because during the finals, new users here, 30-1 odds on either team, the Suns or the Bucks, to win their next game. So we got a game 2 coming up. That means you can win $150 on just a $5 bet. Hey, let's get active here, new users. If you haven't made that jump, do so because it is fun and it makes two teams that you may not have a rooting interest in even more fun to watch. And all you got to do, go to FanDuel Sportsbook, use the promo code JMV to unlock 30-1 odds on either team to win their next game. You got a game 2 coming up with the Suns and the Bucks. Do it now. Again, promo code JMV at FanDuel Sportsbook. 21 plus and present in Indiana. New users only must wager in designated offer market. $10 first deposit required. $150 max bonus. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Circle K is America's thirst stop. And yours, especially when the weather gets... and you need to stay refreshed on the go with ice-cold Circle K favorites like freshly ground iced coffee, Froster, Polar Pop Cup, and more. And right now at Circle K, score with Monster energy drinks. Any flavor, buy 2, get 1 free. When life's go, 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 make us your first stop. Because Circle K is America's thirst stop.
Your friends are hosting an online viewing party to watch the NBA playoffs. But if your slow upload speeds were to make you sound like an evil robot...
Come on, get the rebound.
Whoa, who is that?
I'm sorry.
You're not an evil robot. You just need better internet. AT&T Fiber delivers a faster internet experience with 25 times faster upload speeds than cable. Visit att.com/25 times faster.
Limited availability in select areas based on Internet 1000 wired upload connection speed. First major cable providers 1 gig service with uploads of 35 megabits per second. Restrictions apply.
If you thought Diamonds Direct's values were impressive, wait till you see what we're doing next. It's a spectacular summer store-wide sale, July 14th through the 18th, with an extra 20% savings on virtually all diamond and fashion designer jewelry, from rings and earrings to bands and bracelets and so much more. We're breaking our own rules to bring you extreme value for 5 hot summer days. Get ready. 20% extra savings on a multi-million-dollar selection of fine jewelry, July 14th through 18th at Diamonds Direct, official jeweler of the Indianapolis Colts, Keystone at the Crossing.
The housing market is on fire. If you're even considering buying a home, let's talk. TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Bucks, Suns, the NBA Finals. Game 2 tomorrow night at 8 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I thought that was appropriate re-entry right here. JMV, speaking of the Pizza Palace, there was a better place on the other side, 465 Flaky Jake's back in the day. Bring those back. Weed conversation in full effect right now. England moves on by virtue of, I guess you would call, in a semifinal of the Euros, controversial penalty that set up a penalty kick that England executed 2-1 over Denmark there on to the final versus Italy. And by the way, Reds up 4-2. They had a lengthy weather delay in Kansas City, 4-2, as we get to the point in time where the Reds have to go to the bullpen. So don't hold your breath, Reds fans. Get ready to slap rock it up again, especially after last night. Kyle, great job today. And again, thanks to Chris Hagan yesterday and you guys for hanging in. Last minute call to Hagan out of the bullpen, and he was spectacular. Thank you, Hagan. Thanks to Derek Schultz, the ISC Sports Network, for joining us a little bit earlier. And Evan Sidery covers the Suns for Forbes. And Locked On Colts is the podcast where you can find Evan, a native of Westfield, Indiana, and his work. Excellent out of you. Inside the Lounge via YouTube Live. Spectacular job, too. Twitter, calls, and more. Back with you tomorrow. Mike Chappell and then some tomorrow after 3. Right here. It's 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan. Have a great and safe night.
Need new tires? Skip the long appointments and bad coffee. With Go Mobile Tires Indy, order tires online and have them installed at your home or office. GoMobileIndy.com. We come to you.
Health insurance companies are expected to carry health benefits, but CareSource does so much more. We look beyond doctors' offices and hospitals to see the challenges that face our members. Then we help them achieve not just better health, but better lives. Along with Healthy Indiana plan benefits, we help our members find stable jobs, housing, childcare, and rides so they can find greater independence. At CareSource, we're removing barriers, we're improving lives, we're reimagining health insurance.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a no-charge appraisal? It's never asking for a credit card or charging for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan.
No risk on refinancing, but I live for danger.
With our rates at a low 2.25%, refinancing with Golden Oak is anything but risky business. Get started today at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.195% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
When construction companies pay their workers cash under the table, Hoosiers lose out. By not paying their fair share, these companies are stealing over $405 million